Oh my God. Yori's back in the United States, everybody. That's right. Who's got pappers now? I'm so excited.
Think what you think about when you're born into a fire. Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They want to let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. Listen up, listen
That's the only reason I've been anti-Trump, is I was afraid they wouldn't let Yori back in.
now. Beat the odds, beat the big house. The brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves. We won't let the world burn away, burn away. We feel betrayed.
Yes, I'm doing hand exercises. My goal is to be able to shove it into Mariah and work her like a puppet. I'm getting there, boys.
Back, kill it anyway. To blame. Haters face the world's mistakes. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. And we feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To blame. Haters face the world's mistakes. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway.
Well, hello, fellas. There we go.
Hey Daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is
What?
Big Daddy's meat stick.
Uh-oh.
I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Will Bird. This is Cold Beer Confessional. Thank you for joining us. That was Linda Binda. I do have an announcement for you guys. A lot of people have been asking. A lot of people have been talking about it. The rumor mill's been going, you know what I'm saying? And it's kind of already out there. I guess I might as well just go ahead and admit to it. I have a new best friend. A brand new best friend, never before seen. Brand new best friend. And her name is Janet. Janet is my new best friend. Janet is from Twitter. and we are tied. We're on the same team. We are hanging out. We are sacrificing goats. We're doing the normal best friend things. Let me introduce you to Janet. So I've been arguing with people on Twitter all day, off and on, just trying to ask someone. All I want to fucking know is when you say, I know, I witnessed, we know, we witnessed, fraud happen here. What are you calling fraud? And can we talk about it? And this has been the hardest question. People are like, did you see the video? I tagged you in a video. Did you watch this video? What did you witness? Which part of this is fraud? You didn't watch the video? They got court cases. Did you read the court cases? Tell me, I want to hear you say that this guy in this video ripped up this tape from the voting machine, right? And that is fraud. So we can talk about that because it might not be fraud. Do we know the tape was legit? Do we know that it was actually the tape? Do we know that the tape was legit? Do we know that legally he's required to do this? Do we know that this was reported, that he broke it? Do we know that he's not just disgruntled because you ruined his fucking life over a bunch of false claims and he actually did this because he flipped the votes, changed the votes, gave Donald Trump or Joe Biden 1 million extra votes? Do we know what he... No one will answer me. So after a while, I got aggravated. And then there was one weird comment that popped in. There was one... Here's Janet. That's my best friend, Janet. So there's one weird comment that came up in this conversation. Someone says, Leah, the person we were covering last night, says, don't bother with these people. So she actually showed up, and then, what do you know? She's saving us from communism and the parallel election, and here we are blocked. That's wild. Anyway, so after Leah leaves, Truth Wins shows up and says, these planted seeds will manifest one day. They will see the truth and remember what we have tried to show them. It's never wasted. This world has broken so many souls. Yeah, she actually blocked all of us. Everybody that was commenting, she blocked. A couple people did. I said, haha, and what if nothing happens? You'll just pretend it did anyways, just behind the scenes, right? Right? Even if nothing happens, they'll pretend that something happened. Truth Wins says, you will face your creator one day and stand for truth before it's too late. Now, this was to me. This was sent to me, right? You will stand in front of your creator, stand for truth before it's too late. This was to me. But my good friend, Janet, took offense to this. My good friend, Janet, took offense to this, and it says, I don't fear the wrath of God, I'm good. Now, she wasn't talking to Janet. Truth Wins wasn't talking to Janet. But I thought, you know what? Janet, she doesn't fear the wrath of God. I'm good. Maybe Janet's changing sides. Maybe Janet's now on my team. Maybe me and Janet are close. We're tight like this, right? So, Janet says, I don't fear the wrath of God. I'm good. Truth Wins says, he should be the only one you fear. So I figured I would chime in with, me and Janet are on team fuck your God. Me and Janet, we're teaming up. We're best friends. Me and Janet are on team fuck your God. Now Janet doesn't want to play ball. I put the ball right in her court. And now she doesn't want to play? Now she doesn't want to play? She says, Will, why would you ever put my name in this comment? I would never say that. I love God. And this is why I don't fear his wrath. I may deserve it, but I don't fear it. You are misguided. And I said, we are end game, Janet. Me and you old salty dog. Me and you old salty dog. And then she responds, you are a disgusting person. And I said, that's why we are such good friends. Hashtag same team. Hashtag my salty bitch Janet. Hashtag same team. Hashtag my salty bitch Janet. I don't know why she flipped so quick. That was crazy. That was crazy. She just flipped on me just like that. Your judgment is your downfall. You have been gaslit and deceived, my friend. You will remain in my prayers. Might as well, I guess. Every goat Janet and I sacrifice goes out to magatards in general, but maybe we will name one after you. And what do you know? Janet pops back up. Will, you are definitely delusional. Back the fuck off from me. I don't have anything in common with you. Go away. Janet, I love your sense of humor, bestie. You always do this in public. We are team. Hashtag fuck your God. Say it loud and proud, Janet. We're friends. You are a little coward. You can't bully me, asshole. I guess your little podcast is the shitter, so now you're attacking me because I hurt your feelings. How liberal are you? I'm loving this best friend banter we have going on. Brunch tomorrow. Hashtag ya old salty dog. You old salty dog, you. Wait a second. So I thought we were good friends. Then Leah comes out of nowhere after she blocked everybody and is like, don't defend, use his own rules against him. Power is not only what you have, but what the enemy thinks you have. Never go outside the experience of your people. Whenever possible, go outside of the experience of the enemy. Make the enemy live up to its own book of rules. Ridicule is a man's most potent weapon. There is no defense. It is almost impossible to counterattack ridicule. Also, it infuriates the opposition, who then reacts to your advantage. A good tactic is one your people enjoy. A tactic that drags on too long becomes a drag. Keep the pressure on. The threat is usually more terrifying than the thing itself. The major premise for tactics is development of operations that will maintain a constant pressure upon the opposition. If you push a negative hard and deep enough, it will break through into its counter side. This is based on the principle that every positive has its negative. The price of a successful attack is a constructive alternative. Pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. I don't even know where the fuck she came from. She's already banned everybody. What, do you think I tried too hard with Janet? Literally. Literally. You think I pushed too much? She's all tore up thinking that I mistaked her for my friend. I don't know what happened. You old hashtag you old salty dog. I don't fear the wrath of God. I'm good. I thought when she said that, like, I don't fear the wrath of God. I'm good. I thought she was coming over the dark side. That's why I said me and Janet are on team fuck your God. I feel like I drive my friends away, maybe. But not this one. Me and Janet are in game. She has no idea. Like, I can't believe that she doesn't understand what's going on. Like, I was arguing with her earlier, and I just flipped like that. And she's like, what are you saying? Why would you put my name in this post? We have nothing in common. What? That's why we're such good friends. Hashtag same team. Hashtag my salty bitch Janet. We are in game. Me and you old salty dog. I wonder if she answered about brunch. Doesn't seem so. Not yet. So did he get vengeance, or is that still up in the... Oh, that's Phil. That's Phil stuff. I don't know. Maybe it's like a fragile flower, and like I wanted to hold the flower. I wanted to smell the flower. I wanted to touch the flower, but then I was just like retard hands. I just crushed it. I feel like it was there, and then poof, it's gone. Donald Trump was asked his thoughts on January 6th, the insurrection of January 6th, what his thoughts were, what's going on with that. And this is his response. Donald Trump was asked about January 6th, and this is his response.
If you look at January 6th, which a lot of people aren't talking about very much, I think those people were treated very harshly. When you compare them to other things that took place in this country where a lot of people were killed, nobody was killed on January 6th. But I think that the people of January 6th were treated very unfairly. And they were there to complain, not through me, they were there to complain about an election. And, you know, it's very interesting. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I said peacefully and patriotically, which nobody wants to say, but I said peacefully and patriotically. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken to, and you've seen, Maggie, I was at the mall. I was at the Washington Monument. I was at the whole thing. I had crowds. I don't know who's ever had a bigger crowd than I have, but I had it many times. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken before was that day. And I'll tell you, it's very hard to find a picture of that crowd. You see the picture?
What?
A small number
of
people relatively going to the Capitol. But you never see the picture of the crowd. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken. I've spoken to the biggest crowds. Nobody's spoken to crowds bigger than me. If you look at Martin Luther King, when he did his speech,
what does this have to do with January 6th and the insurrection?
Speech, and you look.
Many people died. I think it's a. So Ashley Babbitt's mom has a protest every night, and people donate money to her. I think it's a fucking. She's so goddamn dumb. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that Ashley Babbitt's mom's so goddamn dumb. She's still sucking off Trump's cock. But he's like that lady that was shot in the face. Nobody died on January 6th. He keeps saying this, and she's like, it's okay if he doesn't say her name. Her name's, I'll say it, and we got to vote for Trump.
Look at ours. Same real estate, same everything, same number of people. If not, we had more. And they said he had 1 million people, but I had 20.
So we are asking about the insurrection that happened on January 6th. And what happened after all that, the certification, the breaking into the Capitol, the insurrection. And he's like, well, I got the same size crowd as Martin Luther King Jr., I think.
25,000 people. But when you look at the exact same picture, and everything's the same because it was the fountains, the whole thing, all the way back to from Lincoln to Washington. And you look at it, and you look at the picture of his crowd, my crowd. We actually had more people.
Okay.
They said I had 25,000, and he had 1 million people, and I'm okay with it because I liked Dr. Martin Luther King.
The late, great Dr. Hannibal Lecter. What the fuck does that have to do with anything, dude? But Martin Luther King, he was at the mall, and I was at the mall, and you got the fountains in it. You know I was at the mall, right? And you got the fountains and everything, and same picture, same things, same fountains. And we actually had more, but I'll let it go this time because I really liked the late, great Dr. Hannibal Lecter. Dr. Hannibal Lecter. What? I think that Trump's campaign is kind of in a panic. A lot of polls switched up. Polymarket, which is like the #1 betting site for like political stuff and shit like that, or it's not the #1, it's the largest. Switched Kamala Harris ahead. So Trump was ahead like 3 weeks ago. Now she's ahead on most of the swing states. The right is now trying to say that because there was the joke about J.D. Vance fucking a couch. Now they're trying to say that her VP pick drinks horse semen. And this wasn't like a troll Twitter account come up with it. It was Donald Trump's son. Donald Trump Jr. So what happened? The reason the J.D. Vance thing was funny to me is like a troll account come up with it, and people just believed it. And then even when people didn't believe it, it was just kind of funny, right? But we knew it was fake. So Donald Trump Jr. comes out and posts a picture of a horse, Tim Walz in front of it, and it says, got milk, and he's got a milk mustache. So the president's son just said, that the VP pick for his opponent drinks horse semen. That kind of seems like they're grasping at straws there. I didn't think of it this way, but I think we should. I think so too. I think that Trump should never be allowed to hold office again after January 6th. The actions he took, inviting every people there, hours people were begging him to fucking stop, and all the events leading up to that. Knowing he lost, claiming it was fake, all that shit. I don't think he should be allowed to hold office, but whatever. I think they're coming unglued. I don't think they're doing well in Mar-a-Lago. And I wasn't thinking about it like this, but Trump seems to get like meaner, nastier, uglier, lie more as the election builds. And some of it's from pressure because Kamala was announced, that was a surge. VP was announced, that was a surge. He's starting to see the numbers change in the polls. But some of it has to be, you don't think about this, but some of it has to be, he's facing a lot of criminal charges, right? And he wins president, he walks away from all that, pardons himself, does the whole deal, potentially even changes laws to where he can be prosecuted about stuff in the future. But he loses. If he loses, there's a chance that a lot of these cases come back around to a head. You know what I'm saying? Desperate men do desperate things kind of deal. Let's see what else we got. We've got Nick Fuentes talking about the Maga movement.
Is dead. The Trump movement.
If you don't know who he is, he's the leader of the America First and the Groypers movement. He's incredibly anti-Semitic, but he was a big part of getting young people mobilized to vote for Trump in 2016 and in 2020. He was a big part of Stop the Steal. He was good friends with that guy. The first time I saw him, Ali Alexander, I was like, that guy looks like he touches kids. And turns out he does. He was good friends with that guy, but he was a big Trump thing, right? He went with Kanye to meet Trump. He had a falling out with Kanye and a falling out with Trump. But I think he's pretty accurate on a lot of this stuff he's fixing to say right here.
The Trump movement is dead. It's dead. The real shitlords,
the more you comment stupid shit like this, the more I'm going to cover it. So buckle up, log out, whatever you ask the nurse to turn off your reading lamp. I don't know what you need me to do for you. Bye. When we bring up Phil and his rapid liars, this boring, all this Trump rhetoric, I'm about to log out. Ask the nurse. She's the lady in the scrubs, if she'll turn off your reading lamp.
Real 4chan people, the Channers, all the people from 2016 that brought the meme energy are now gone. They have either quit politics entirely, they are liberal, they are Nazis, there's something else, but they're not on the Trump side. You know who is on the Trump side?
I think this is true. A lot of younger people that may have been Trump supporters to begin with are kind of over it, right? A lot of those are over it. And now there's just people like Jack Posobiec and Tim Pool and the people that just grift off of it.
Side GOP shills. You want to know why we're giving this really weak, bitchy, whiny energy on the Trump side? It's because it's all the GOP hacks that were for everybody else in 2016. It's all the plus 35.
It does seem like all the people that were anti-Trump, never Trumpers, are now like begging for some of that Trump money. So if you don't know, Trump is like, it's the Trump industrial complex, right? If you suck Trump's dick, if you repeat his narrative, you get the old people to come watch, you get those people to donate, you get your viewership. Tim Pool was fucking hardly anybody before all this started. Jack Posobiec, who the fuck was that? A lot of people have made their career off sucking off Trump and delivering whatever he says as news to his followers.
5 crowd, they're getting donor money, they have to be careful what they say, they're super cringe. And that's why they're not able to play the same game, because they've alienated everybody. People like the Groypers, it's been made clear that we're not welcome. The GOP and the Trump campaign and that whole scene, they've made it clear we're not welcome. We're too right-wing. We're too edgy. We're never going to infiltrate, whatever. And so instead, you got guys like Benny Johnson and Jack Posobiec. We're the new meme lords. It's guys like James.
Or what's the name? The fucking meme team. What's that guy's name? He's like a 45-year-old guy who's like, we're going to meme Trump into the White House.
O'Keefe and Jack Posobiec, these are your cool guys. James O'Keefe doing a Michael
cool.
Jackson
Dilly.
dance.
The
and
Dilly
Jack
meme
Posobiec
team.
doing what?
We're the meme team. We're the backbone. I have it on good notice that Trump saw one of our memes, guys. Trump saw one of our memes. We're in there. I might be the cabinet memer.
White Boy Summer, 3 years too late. And Bronze Age Pervert, who's a 40-year-old gay Jew.
They do everything like 3 years too late. Every trend they try to hop on, we're like, what? You just put out a Harlem Shake video? What wasn't that like 2003?
Guys like Benny Johnson and Jack Posobiec. We're the new meme lords. It's guys like James O'Keefe and Jack Posobiec. These are your cool guys. James O'Keefe doing a Michael Jackson dance and Jack Posobiec doing White Boy Summer, 3 years too late. And Bronze Age Pervert, who's a 40-year-old gay Jew who wasn't even born in America.
Damn.
And that's why this is the energy they're giving.
Hey, man. Oh, okay. You're going to say we had sex with the couch? Well, we'll see how you like it.
The energy is so bad. It's so defensive. It's like smarmy. It's like that. It's like that chud jack, that like soy jack, that like angry soy jack face. It's like that kind of energy, like angry eyes, but a very soft face. It's like that.
Oh, okay, fine. You're going to make fun of us? We'll see how
He's
you
talking about the black and white hand drawn, the guy that's like this guy. He says the energy in the Trump campaign is like this meme, right? That's the energy. The red eyes, the crying, and we'll make fun of you too. Well, you like horse semen? That's what I heard from my dad.
like it. Well, we're going to say a thing about you now.
It's so off-putting and bad. And I don't know if anyone else gets what I mean by that, because I'm talking about a very specific thing. And I see that energy and I'm like, they're cooked. They're totally fucked. They're on the back foot. And sorry for the language, but it's just true. They are on the back foot all the time, constantly on defense, constantly seething, crying. All the posts that I see from...
I do think that Trump, in the 2016 campaign, he captured something with social media, right? Trump's a salesman. Even if you don't need it, he's fucking trying to shove it down your throat. But I think semi-organically, semi-Russian, they did capture something with memes and videos and the virality of all that shit. But it's played out now. The left caught up. You were beat by Joe Biden, dude. You were beat by Joe Biden. Joe Biden didn't leave his basement. And you lost. And you knew you lost. And then for 4 years, you claimed, I didn't lose.
From Andrew Torba, Jack Posobiec, Lomez, John Doyle, the biggest like Trump shills. All the posts are like, hey guys, come on. We're winning this thing. We're winning.
Trust
And
me, bro.
it's just like desperate. It's like that energy when...
I hope Trump does a stream with the Skibbity Toilet cartoon. I think that'll be the icing on the cake when Trump comes out and he says, you know, we got big crowds, not like Kamala. She's so skibbity. And I think that'll be it. That'll be it. That'll be the brain rot 2024 election cycle complete.
When you know it's over. It's that same like when that kind of reassurance comes in, this like panicked reassurance, this desperate like this is fine. It's like that energy when you're like it's so over. Like you know it's over, I know it's over. You're hanging on, you're trying to get me to hang on, but you don't really, you know it's over too. It's like this is death spiral energy. We are the Trump campaign. And by the way, I'm not saying this to demoralize anybody. You know, people say you're spreading fear, uncertainty, and doubt. You're demoralizing. That's not my object. My object here is to just call the race as I see it. And I'm actually doing a service. If you are involved in the Trump campaign, don't get mad at me for saying it.
Don't be mad at him.
Don't get mad at me for saying what everybody's thinking. You need to fix it. I'm doing a service.
If Trump wants to pull this thing back on the rails and try to show some semblance of he's not a fucking lunatic at this point, every word that comes out of his mouth from now on needs to be scripted, written down by a speechwriter. Every time he goes off script, he says something fucking wild. Like, what about the J6 protesters? You know, they're still in jail. A lot of people claim it's an insurrection. There was violence. Nobody died. Have you seen my crowd compared to Martin Luther King Jr.'s crowd? And they always say the black people have bigger crowds. I don't know if that's true. Maybe you can check on that, news people. What?
No one will say it. Everyone is afraid of being boxed out of the next administration. They're all afraid.
Some poor guy asked him today. He said that he's on a fixed income. He's elderly. He's basically retired. Just works part-time. I don't know if it was today. I saw the video today. Says, you know, I've got 3 adult children, and basically every month a portion of my income has to go to them to help them. And not just specifically like groceries and rent or not just specifically groceries and insurance and day-to-day purchases, but just rent is out of control, right? People can't afford to live in their homes. Can you do something about that? And he's like, I really like the guys around you. They're a great bunch of guys. They all seem like really good. I like all 100 of those guys. I think there's about 100 there, right? Like all those guys. And inflation is horrible. Groceries are up. Everything the guy said he's not talking about. Groceries are up, insurance, gas. But here's what we're going to do about the inflation. Drill, baby, drill. Energy prices, we're going to drill, and inflation is going to be fixed. Drill, baby, drill. Like, what the the guy's asking how he's going to pay his rent this month.
Of being exiled from Mar-a-Lago and the court of Trump. I'm already on the outs. I'm doing you a favor. If you want Trump to win, you need to be honest with yourself that it's not.
The reason they had to put Agenda 45 out there and put some policy pieces together is because Trump doesn't know his own policy, right? He doesn't talk policy. Every fucking time he's been asked about the economy, he said, drill, baby, drill. We are producing more oil right now than any other country ever has in the world. Yeah, Agenda 47. I said 45.
Going well. The numbers show that. The enthusiasm gap is real. Kamala's making good decisions. They say, well, she's running from interviews. She should. She's terrible in interviews. So what?
That's politics.
She's going to get away with it because the media's not fair. I know. Shocking. Trump supporters are surprised. They're like, the media's not treating.
So Trump calls an emergency meeting or an emergency press meltdown. I think there was hold on. I think I saw it over here. Harry Sisson. Harry's a big TikToker, a liberal TikToker. Here it is. So it says Harris Walls for immediate release August 8, 2024. Donald Trump's very good, very normal press conference. Split screen, joy and freedom versus whatever the hell that was. And it says, My Chemical Elvis. And another thing, I'm not mad. Please don't put in the newspaper that I got mad. And it says, Donald Trump took a break from taking a break to put on some pants and host and then it says press conference is marked out. And it's replaced with public meltdown. We have a lot to say about it. Here are some initial thoughts with more to come. He hasn't campaigned all week. He isn't going to a single swing state this week. But he sure is mad. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are getting big crowds across battlegrounds. I think he's very upset. I think he's struggling. We can go watch he did. From Mar-a-Lago. Is this the full? This is from Sky News. You guys want to watch it? It's bad. It's bad, dude. It's like grasping at straws while also trying to not answer any question, while also mad about Kamala Harris and her crowds, while also not trying to give anything up, while also being sidetracked, while also having ADHD, while also, like, it's so bad.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate your being here. Just a statement before I talk.
Now, he just randomly calls this. There was a tweet from a person that used to work for him that's like, I know exactly what's going on. Trump sees his poll numbers slipping. Trump sees the big crowds that the other side's getting. Trump feels like his people are letting him down, like his campaign people and his VP pick and the Republicans that support him. So he's got to be the one to fix it. Only he can fix it. So he calls like this sudden emergency. He called it himself. He just said, we're having a press conference this time today, Mar-a-Lago.
Talk about debates. I think that our country is right now in the most dangerous position it's ever been in from an economic standpoint, from a safety standpoint. Both gangs on the street and, frankly, gangs outside of our country in the form of other countries that are, frankly, very powerful. They're very powerful countries, and we don't know what we're doing. We have leadership that has no clue how to handle them or how to handle any other situation. We have a lot of bad things coming up. You could end up in a depression of the 1929 variety, which would be a
crime is down and still coming down. It's been trending down since like short of COVID, since like the 90s it's been trending down. Does anybody else feel like Trump's teeth are too small?
Devastating thing, took many years, took decades to recover from it. And we're very close to that, and we're very close to a world war. In my opinion, we're very close to a world war. We have people that don't know how to handle it. They're not respected all over the world.
So I do think it's a very, 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 very good strategy that Harris and Walz are trying to move away from the doom and gloom. They take a couple jabs and say something about Trump or J.D. Vance and kind of like a tongue-in-cheek like joke, but they're talking about good things, right? We want these good outcomes. We want these good things to happen. We're going to fix this and make it better. And then Trump's over here like, we're on the verge of World War III, gangs in your streets, which don't get me wrong, like that's what he won on in 2016. Like the immigrants are rapists and they're taking your jobs and I can stop them. But I think people, after coming out of COVID, after everything else we put up with, inflation and then record high prices on shit and companies making billions on top of billions and everybody just feeling like shit. I just think people are tired of it.
Left at, and we can't have that. Most dangerous period of time I've ever seen for our country. With that being said, we have somebody that hasn't received one vote for president, and she's running, and that's fine with me. But we were given Joe Biden, and now we're given somebody else. And I think, frankly, I'd rather be running against somebody else. But that was their choice. They decided to do that because...
By the way, Trump fucked up. Trump fucked up. And, of course, the internet catches everything. His campaign put out a video, and he retweeted it. And it's a video that basically says, like, criminals only support Kamala, right? But Trump put it out under his own name, his own truth account, as criminals for Kamala. And the internet catches everything. So the internet reports it as breaking. Republican presidential hopeful Donald Trump officially endorses Kamala Harris. Trump, a convicted criminal or convicted felon, wrote criminals for Kamala. Read for yourself, which is fucking hilarious, right? It's fucking hilarious that he's so oblivious to the fact that he is a criminal. And he puts out criminals for Kamala. Trump endorses Kamala Harris. First time we've ever seen it, folks.
Kamala's record is horrible. She's a radical left person at a level that nobody's seen. She picked a radical left man that is, he's got things.
Thanks. I like my accent sometimes. I'm from Montreal, born and raised.
Done that he has positions that are just not, it's not even possible to believe that they exist. He's going for things that nobody's ever even heard of. Heavy into the transgender world, heavy into lots of different worlds having to do with safety. He doesn't want to have borders. He doesn't want to have walls. He doesn't want to have any form of safety for our country.
I think that was his actual stance. After serving in the military for 24 years, he said, I don't even think we should have borders. I think we should just call this our space, and it's everybody's space.
Mind people coming in from prisons, and neither does she, I guess, because she couldn't care less. She's the border czar. By the way, she was the border czar 100%. And all of a sudden,
See this rambling. He's already locked in. He's already locked in the people. So the other day I told you, was it yesterday? I told you a simple test to see if someone is capable of engaging with a hypothetical, right? How would you feel if you didn't have breakfast this morning? You asked them that question twice. And another thing that you could go ahead and take, these people are not worth, there's zero worth in speaking with these people, is if it's, oh, you don't understand, it's good versus evil. God is on his side. Anytime they make some type of he's the chosen one from God, or this is Satan versus the devil, or Satan versus God, or the devil versus Jesus, there's no sense in arguing with that, right? He's got those people on lock. He's not going to win any swing voters by rambling on like this. None. Zero. Oh, yeah, by the way, she was the border czar.
neither does she, I guess, because she couldn't care less. She's the border czar. By the way, she was the border czar 100%. And all of a sudden, for the last few weeks, she's not the border czar anymore, like nobody ever said it. And I just hope that the media becomes more diligent, more honest, frankly, because if they're not going to be honest.
He doesn't even believe in walls. I can tell you this from firsthand experience. Without walls, you can't have a roof. He lives, frankly, in an open park. He lives in an open park in downtown. No walls, no roof, no house. And I can tell you that. I'm a developer. I know a lot about these materials. A lot of limestone. Never get paint out of limestone, ever. I'll tell you that right now. You see how big these hands are? I could scrub and scrub that limestone. Won't get the paint out of it.
It's going to be much tougher to bring our country back. We have a very, very sick country right now. You saw the other day with the stock market.
Very sick country. It's like the country went to the doctor and he said, they used the wood stick, puts the stick in there, and he says, oh, it's bad news. Country's not going to make it. You need some Trumpicillin.
Crashing. That was just the beginning.
What is going on, dude? What is going on?
And it's going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse, in my opinion. And fortunately, we've had some very good polls over the last fairly short period of time. Rasmussen came out today. We're substantially leading, and others came out today that we're leading, and in some cases substantially. I guess MSNBC came out, or CNBC came out also with a poll that was has us leading, and leading fairly big in swing states. In some polls, I'm leading very big in swing states because they want safety. People want safety. They want security. They want respect.
Thank you very much for the 100 bits. I appreciate it, Nick. Yeah, that Trumpicillin. He said, take 2 Trumpicillins. Call me tomorrow. I don't think I will. I'm feeling fine.
Around the world for our country, they don't want this horrible culture that is developing, a culture of no common sense. It's really a culture of no common sense, and it's not what anyone wants. We want to have a safe country. We want to have a strong military. We want low interest rates, and we want to be able to have the American dream. We want to be able to have our youth be able to buy homes, housing, get good jobs, and we're really just at the opposite.
Define to me what socialist policies that Kamala Harris is planning on implementing. I'll wait.
Right now, it's so sad to see. But as a border czar, she's been the worst border czar in history in the world.
The worst border czar.
I think the number is 20 million, but whether it's 15 or 20, it's numbers that nobody's ever heard before. 20 million people came over the border during the Biden-Harris administration. 20 million people. And it could be very much higher than that. Nobody really knows what the number is.
Billions and billions and billions.
Nobody knows. Nobody has a clue. And the gotaways, they call them the gotaways. The gotaways are at numbers. Somebody was quizzing me on it the other day. No, I don't think so, sir. I don't think so. They have no idea what those numbers are. But they're much higher than you would think. Just like far more people were killed in the Ukraine-Russia war than you ever report. Just like the October 7th would have never happened. Russia would have never hit.
So October 7th would have never happened and Russia would have never invaded. October 7th would have never happened. He's just rewriting history, right? If I would have been the guy in charge, nothing bad would ever happen. Only good things would have happened. Just like he said, Putin would never deal with anybody else on this hostage release. Then he's like, I can't believe they did a hostage release. Weren't you just bragging about you were the only one that could do it?
Ukraine had the election result been called differently. It was a very bad call, but Russia would not have attacked Ukraine. October 7th in Israel would have never happened. You wouldn't have inflation. A lot of great things would have happened, but now you have...
You wouldn't have inflation. You wouldn't even have inflation. If I would have had my way and would have overthrown the fucking vice president, maybe killed him, who knows, wouldn't even have inflation. Inflation doesn't exist when Trump's around. They said, you're going to have record high inflation. I said, not unless you're flying in a hot air balloon. That's the only inflation I like. Inflate, the balloon, inflate the balloon. You drift over, beautiful mountains.
Millions and millions of dead people, and you have people dying financially because they can't buy bacon, they can't buy food, they can't buy groceries, they can't do anything.
Trump has no idea what grocery shopping's like. Can't buy bacon or other foodstuffs. Lots of people complaining about bacon is pork. The other white meat, some might say. Some don't. That's okay.
And they're living horribly in our country right now. With all of that being said, I think it's very important to have debates. And we've agreed with Fox on a date of September 4th.
So this isn't true. What he's about to say isn't true. Trump wanted a Fox News debate, and he promised them on the air he would get the debate on Fox News. Kamala Harris had already agreed to the 10th on ABC and invited Donald Trump, whether he wants to be there or not. So Donald Trump said no to the 10th. Then Kamala said, nope, the 10th on ABC. Then J.D. Vance said, I'll debate her. And then Kamala Harris said, no, the 10th on ABC. Then Trump said, Fox News debate. And she said, no, the 10th on ABC. And then he said, well, we're not coming. And she said, I'll be there on the 10th on ABC. Then Trump finally says, okay, but we're also doing the 4th and the 24th on Fox and something else. And she said, no, the 10th. The only one she agreed to was the 10th, and it was her offer.
We've agreed with NBC.
Has Trump ever been inside a grocery store? For photo ops, probably. I don't think he's ever bought his own groceries. There's no fucking way. I was reading a story today about the podiatrist that gave him his bone spur. See, I when Trump first came out, I liked him. I campaigned for him. I voted for him. I even donated some money, not a lot. I mean, but what I had to donate for him. And I was kind of blind to all the people that were like, well, what about this? Well, what about this? Well, what about that? Well, what about this? And I ignored it. So now going back and reading some of this shit that come up, like the guy, so his dad owned, all this property in New York. There was a podiatrist in one of the buildings. So Trump had, from Vietnam, he had an educational deferment. He had an educational deferment for 4 years to be out of the draft. He was eligible for the draft, but he had education deferment because he was in school. He was in college. As soon as he comes out of that educational deferment, he goes back into the draft sequence, ready and eligible. Almost immediately, he gets a sudden diagnosis of bone spurs. But the first time that he was eligible for the draft, right, the first time when he got the educational deferment, he had to get a full physical wrote up, and they said he's good to go, nothing wrong with him. Then suddenly when his education deferment doesn't work anymore, he has bone spurs in his heel. And it just happened to be a doctor that his dad owned the business. And the doctor later on in life bragged to his daughters at first, like, yeah, I took care of Trump. Trump's dad took care of me. And then he regretted it later on in life about it. Now, Trump lies about this, and he's told a bunch of different lies. One of them was that he just had a really high lottery number because they were doing the draft from drawing a lottery. He had a really high lottery number, right? And that's why he never got picked. But the lottery didn't come into place until 2 years after he already had his bone spur. So he wasn't in the lottery at all. It has nothing to do with his lottery number.
Fairly full agreement, subject to them, on September 10th. And we've agreed with ABC on September 25th. So we have those 3 dates, and those networks, they're very anxiously awaiting that date and those dates.
I think Trump thinks that if he goes ahead and announces these, even though she's not agreed to them, I don't even think she had been asked at this point, but if he goes ahead and announces all 3 debates, that if she says, no, I agreed to 1 debate and doesn't do all 3, then they could be like, look, she backed out, after Trump already backed out. Multiple times said he wasn't coming.
We have September 4th, September 10th, and September 25th. We have spoken to the heads of the network, and it's all been confirmed, other than some fairly minor details. Audience, some location, which city would we put it into, but all things that will be settled very easily. I think it'll be very easy. The other side has to agree to the terms. They may or may not agree. I don't know if they.
See, he hasn't even presented the term. The only one that's set, and both of them agreed to the terms, is the one on ABC on the 10th. Like these other ones, Trump just went out of his way to get them set up. They haven't even fucking sent over the terms and shit.
Going to agree. She hasn't done an interview. She can't do an interview. She's barely competent, and she can't do an interview. But I look forward to the debates because I think we have to set the record straight. Why is it that millions of people were allowed to come into our country from prisons, from jails, from mental institutions, insane asylums, even insane asylums? That's a
Hannibal, the late great
institution on steroids.
Hannibal Lecter.
That's what it is. When you see the people that are coming into asylums,
what is it?
That's it's a mental institution on steroids. That's what it is.
Oh, okay.
When you see
insane asylums, that's a mental institution on steroids. A lot of people talk about, who was at a mental institution on steroids. Late great Hannibal Lecter. The left loses their mind when I say that, and I'm like, lecture me some more. I'm the guy talking.
The people that are coming into these are institutions that are being emptied out, not in South America, all over the world, including South America, all over the world. Prisons are being emptied out into our country because we have a president that's the worst president in the history of our country. We have a vice president.
Bro, a shit ton of people have been deported under this. Joe Biden even tried to keep Title 42 in place, to keep the national health emergency. Like, a shit ton of people have been deported. I don't know why they like to spin this narrative, and his followers repeat it like the border's just fucking open and anybody who just wants to run across can. They believe that, genuinely. Someone cussed me the other day and was like, you don't believe there's a fucking invasion going on the border? What are you, blind?
Who is the least admired, least respected, and the worst vice president in the history of our country, the most unpopular vice president. And because of political reasons or because of...
I don't even know if anybody keeps up with most popular and unpopular vice, but usually it's a meaningless job, right? You're just there just in case, and no one even really thinks it. You have your own little projects you work on, right? Schools or safety or cars or something. But I don't even know if anybody tracks the most popular and most unpopular vice president.
Being politically correct, even though she never received a vote. Don't forget, she was the first one defeated, as I remember it, because I watched it very closely. But she was the first one. She never made it to Iowa, the first state. She never made it to Iowa. She was the first one that was defeated. She was the nastiest to him. She was nasty with calling him a racist and the school bus and all of the different things. She was very nasty to Biden. And shockingly, he appointed her.
You think Trump ever rode a school bus?
Asked her to serve as vice president. Well,
you think when his school went on trips, he flew in on the private chopper?
I don't know if he's happy about that decision right now. This was taken away. The presidency was taken away from Joe Biden. And I'm no Biden fan, but I'll tell you what, from a constitutional standpoint, from any standpoint you look at, they took the...
Wait till he talks about Elon Musk. He says Elon Musk gave him a full-throated endorsement, which I'm starting to believe.
Presidency away. And people were saying he lost after the debate. He couldn't win. Well, I don't know that that's true necessarily. But whether he could win or he couldn't win, he had the right to run. And they took it away. They said they're going to use the 25th Amendment. They're going to hit you hard. Either we can do it the nice. I know exactly because I know a lot of people on the other side, believe it or not. And they said, we'll do it the nice way or we'll do it the hard way. And he said, all right. So that, I mean, they've really taken, what they've done is pretty incredible. And now I'm running against somebody else and we're leading. We're leading. So I'm not complaining. I'm saying it's for a country with a constitution that we cherish. We cherish this constitution to have.
Just wait, you'll hear it.
Pretty severe, pretty horrible. You would have thought they would have gone out to a vote. They would have had a primary system. They would have done something. But to just take it away from him like he was a child. And he's a very angry man right now. I can tell you that. He's not happy with Obama.
He's a very angry man.
He's not happy with Nancy Pelosi. Crazy Nancy. She is crazy, too. She's not happy with any of the people that.
How did we let this become like debate the topics, get a couple like tongue-in-cheek jabs in, like where Walls was like, if he can, I'm excited to debate him if he can get off the couch, right? That's like a little jab. But just coming out and being like, Barack Hussein Obama, crazy Nancy, like what? Why is this a thing? Are we children?
That told him that you've got to leave. He's very unhappy, very angry, and I think he also blames her. He's trying to put up a good face, but it's a very bad thing in terms of a country when you do that. I'm not a fan of his, as you probably have noticed. He had a rough debate. But that doesn't mean that you just take it away like that. Or you go out to a vote, you do something. He had 14 million votes. She had no votes. She got no votes. And I think she's crashing. I think when people find out, and I think people are starting to find out what a bad job she did, what a bad job she did on the border. She's trying to say she had nothing to do with the border. She had everything. She was appointed to head the border. And then they said, border czar, oh, she loved that name, but she never went there. She went to a location once along the border, but that was a location that you would love to go and have dinner with your husband or whoever. That was a location that was not part of the problem. That was not really going to the border. So essentially, she never went to the border. And if you listen to Tom Homan, if you listen to the great...
He thinks he can talk Biden back into showing up at the DNC and being like, I'm still here. Somebody give me an ice cream. They're putting daddy back in.
Border people, Brandon Judd from the Border Patrol, if you listen to...
I don't think his jabs work as good with Kamala Harris, because it's one thing for him to be taking jabs at other men up there that people kind of don't like already, like when he's got like people running for the Republican nominee. It's another thing to be like a female person of color and he's making these weird jabs. Plus, his racism slips all the fucking time.
Paul, I mean, so many different people. I speak to them all the time. And I did when I was president. We had the best border in the history of...
Yeah, he says she never went. And then as soon as he finishes saying that, said she went to the border one time and I saw her. Like, he doesn't... I don't know. He needs a script, bro.
Now we have the worst border in the history of the world. Millions of people coming in. And our country...
Millions and millions.
...cannot sustain it. Our country is going down because of this, because of incompetent people. So I just look forward to these debates. I think it's very important that we have them. I hope she agrees.
Like I've always said, our country, it's doing like this. That's going down, folks. Our country is not going up. So it must be, I think you guys know this, it must be going down. And I've seen this many times. You don't want a country, you know this, you don't want a country to go down. You want a country to go up. How do we go up? By drill, baby, drill.
To them September 4th, September 10th, September 25th. And I think they'll be very revealing.
If your country goes down enough, you know where you end up. Downtown. A lot of bad people there. Bad Leroy Brown. He was downtown. I think you know this, right? See, Kimberly, some of the others, you know this. Bad Leroy Brown. Baddest cat in the whole downtown, I think.
Revealing. Do you have any questions, please?
Oh, God, everybody. Here we go.
I haven't recalibrated strategy at all.
How have you recalibrated your strategy to deal with Kamala Harris instead of Biden, is the question.
Do you have any questions, please?
How have you recalibrated your strategy to compete against Harris?
I haven't recalibrated strategy at all. It's the same policies, open borders, weak on crime. I think she's worse than Biden because he got forced.
It seems like it. If you were already convinced you were going to beat Biden, there's no way that he could win, and she's even worse. Do you call an emergency press conference when new poll numbers come out? Or do you just smile and wave? You know he doesn't want to be doing this, right? He could be playing golf or jumping in a vault full of gold coins like Scrooge McDuck or whatever the fuck he does. J.D. Vance had to stand up his brand new Ashley furniture couch just to be there to watch this.
Into the position. She was there long before. She destroyed San Francisco. She destroyed California as the AG. But as the DA, she destroyed San Francisco. Friend of mine, Bob Tisch. All know the Trish.
You all know Bob Tisch. You know the Trishes? Everybody, yeah, you know.
Tisch family. He was in many cities with companies. He said the greatest city in the country is San Francisco. That was about 20 years ago. And he passed away a while ago, and he would be looking down and said, what happened?
So he doesn't have a quote from this guy, except the one he gave 20 years ago. He's like, oh, he's dead. But I guarantee you he's up with baby Jesus saying, what happened to my San Francisco? You know this. We know this. The late, great Hannibal Lecter. Doctor, some say.
He thought it was the best city in the country. He had divisions there, lows. And he would be looking down in horror now when he sees she destroyed no cash bail, weak on crime. She's terrible. And yet they weaponized the system against me. They have me. I got so many lawyers. Now they want to delay cases. I won the big case in Florida. I won.
He did not win a case, okay? This will absolutely be fucking appealed. It was thrown out because now they're saying what we've done since literally 1900, appointing special counsels, is somehow illegal.
Won the big case.
His only hope, I'm telling you, he's panicking over this. The only way that he can guarantee, for sure, like his Supreme Court might help him, judges might help him, maybe some cases fuck up. The only way he can guarantee is to win again and pardon himself. You cannot pardon yourself for future crimes.
Nobody even wrote about it. The big case, the judge was a brilliant judge, and all they do is they play the ref with the judges. But this judge was a fair but brilliant judge. And as you probably heard, the big...
Usually, you've heard me on this show before say, well, it's the courts. If you don't like how the courts works, blah, blah, blah. This lady went above and beyond. Like, literally since the year 1900, and before that, that just gives you a frame of reference. We've been appointing special counsels to investigate things from the attorney general or whatever, whoever appoints the special counsel, and they have no bounds. As long as they stay within their investigation, that's what they do. This judge, picking up on a Supreme Court opinion, says it's unconstitutional, the president, and the only reason the president didn't appoint this special counsel is so it was impartial, right? He didn't appoint a special counsel because it would look like Joe Biden's going after Trump. Instead, our system appointed a special counsel to investigate not only Joe Biden, but also Donald Trump.
Documents case, I won it. Now, Biden lost it because he didn't have presidential immunity. He didn't have the Presidential Records Act. He lost it. But the special, I call it prosecutor, special counsel, special prosecutor to me, he appointed by him and appointed by Garland, he said the man's incompetent. He can't stand trial, but he can run for president. But we know
that's not at all what he said. He said, looking at the facts, he may have violated these laws, right, with the documents. And I would say most people in government have violated some of these document laws, but that it would be very hard to get a conviction on the lovable old guy that just forgot about, you know what I'm saying?
No longer have to worry about that because we have somebody that, in my opinion, is more incompetent.
Okay.
She couldn't pass her bar exam.
Before, Joe Biden was the most incompetent person in the world. We looked it up the other night, and she took the bar exam once and failed and come back and took it again. In California, there's like a 60% first-time failure rate on it. So if anything, she's like with the fucking majority of people.
And lots of other things, and she should not be.
Most states you can write in whoever you want.
In a position, because if she becomes president, our country is.
I think it would be funny if you were like, well, I guess not. It's kind of a serious thing. But if you were like, fuck the election, if you could get enough followers to get people to write your name in on election day, just enough to not win, obviously, but just enough to be featured on the news. Like, who the fuck is Will Bird, the beer guy? Like, that'd be funny.
Is going to be a giant fail. It's going to fail. It's going to be a failure the likes of which this world has never seen. Yeah, please. No, how about you?
Wonderful, thank you. A big part of your strategy before Harris became the nominee was going after and increasing the share of. Do you hear me?
You have to speak louder.
Okay, great. A big part of the strategy for your campaign before Harris became the nominee was appealing to black voters. That's
Yeah.
something you were really going after. In polls, we really see Harris gaining ground with that group, and I'm wondering how you are going to go after black voters now that
Okay. So a big part of his strategy before, when he was against Biden, was going after black voters. Now that she tends to poll really well with black voters, I wonder if that's still going to be a big part of your strategy. Or are you going to change? You're going to do something different now?
she's the nominee and really winning the vote.
Well, it changes around a little bit. I'm getting other voters. Perhaps, I was doing very well with black voters, and I still am. I seem to be doing very well with black males. This is according to polls, as you know. It's possible that I won't do as well with black women, but I do seem to be doing very well with other segments, extremely well with Hispanic.
Dude, if Republicans could stop being so goddamn racist and come up with an actual resolution for the border that's not, I keep the rapists and drug dealers out, but like an actual way to get citizenship, a way to fucking apply that doesn't take years and thousands of dollars, a way to deal with people humanely at the border, and stop treating fucking people from south of the border like they're going to come up here and rape your fucking face off. Latino voters are extremely they're conservative people. They have conservative social values and family values and more conservative than probably the average American. But the Republicans turn them off being so fucking racist about everything, acting like they're the scum of the earth.
Jewish voters way up. White males way up. White males have gone through the roof. White males way up. No, I don't know. All we're doing is giving you the stats that you have. It could be that I'll be affected somewhat with black females, where we're doing pretty well. And I think ultimately they'll like me better because I'm going to give them security, safety, and jobs. I'm going to give them a good economy. We have a very bad economy right now. We could literally be on the throes of a depression, not recession, a depression. And they can't have that. They can't have that. So I think I'm going to do well with everybody, especially when the facts.
I cover everybody eventually. I think that Trump's the biggest threat currently, so he's getting the most attention.
Right. Yeah, please, in the back.
You're now leading the Jewish voters in your home state of New York. With that being said, what do you make of Kamala Harris not taking?
I didn't. Hold on. I wasn't paying attention. Let me back up.
With everybody, especially when the facts are right. Yeah, please, in the back.
You're now leading the Jewish voters in your home state of New York. With that being said, what do you make of Kamala Harris not taking Josh Shapiro as her VP?
Well, I don't know.
So something about you're now leading, something about your home state, New York voters maybe. But what do you think about her not picking Josh Shapiro? I think was the question.
No, I know Josh Shapiro. He's a terrible guy, and he's not very popular with anybody. I think that this election maybe is better than Josh Shapiro would have been. But
Josh Shapiro is the one who come out and said that there was, he is very adamant that there wasn't any fraud, like everybody else that had a position of authority said in fucking 2020 when Trump was trying to get different lawyers to replace his attorney general if they said the right thing.
But I think other than Josh Shapiro, I think she had some good choices. But Josh Shapiro is not one of them. He's caused a lot of damage with a lot of people.
Yeah, his gain on his mic is way too high to where you can hear every fucking mouth noise, but you can't hear anybody in the audience.
And
asking the questions.
I don't think he would have been better. I think he would have been maybe the equivalent, maybe not as good. But they had some people that they were looking at that were good, far superior to her. They actually had a story where they had everybody, including, they had like 10 people that she was looking at and her. And they said she was the worst of all. In other words, she was the worst out of the 10 people and her.
So there was a story where they were looking at her VP picks. They're like, okay, Kamala Harris is running. Let's see who she might pick for her vice president. She's the worst out of the picks. That was the story.
Personally agrees to the ABC debate. Would you be willing to do that one debate?
I don't know how that.
I don't know what he just said.
Instead of the 10 people and her.
What she just said. Hold on.
Personally agrees to the ABC debate. Would you be willing to do that one debate?
Oh, I think that was just on the one debate. I think she just said is she just willing to do that one debate? I think was the last thing it said.
I don't know how that's going to work out. We'd like to do 3 debates.
Yeah,
we think we should do 3 debates. We think Fox and ABC, and we also have CBS is going to do the vice presidential debate. So CBS will do vice presidential, and I have to tell you, J.D. Vance has really stepped up. He's doing a fantastic job. Say it.
Are you worried at all about the size of Harris's crowds?
Are you worried about the size of her crowds? Now listen, there was a couple times where he could barely draw a crowd, and J.D. Vance cannot draw a crowd. He keeps having all these fucking rallies in virtual furniture stores, and people are like, I don't know if I want to go see that.
Oh, give me a break. Listen, I had 107,000 people in New Jersey. You didn't report it. I'm so.
Trump doesn't need his sycophants to win, right? I don't think Trump, I honestly and genuinely do not think that he can understand that, yes, I've got these people that would literally fucking give up their life for me, right? They would give up their life for me right now if I asked them and said, I'm going to snap my fingers, you're going to die. Is that okay? They'd be like, yeah, do it. Hurry. Can I get a picture first? But that doesn't matter when we're talking about how many people vote and the swing vote. You don't win without getting enough of the swing voters. It doesn't matter on either side. Just because you have sycophants that'll never listen to anybody that says anything bad about you, they'll scream fake news at anybody asking questions. They'll debate anybody but won't give any firm answers because they don't know them. That doesn't matter. And I think that when he thinks he sees these people that come out that would just suck his dick in a heartbeat, that he thinks that's the sentiment of everybody else. Whether he's seeing 10,000 people or 100,000 people, he thinks that's everybody, and he doesn't understand. It's something in his personality. He does not understand that there are people that have no motive, no deep state, no money being paid. They just don't like him. I don't think he can reckon that in his head, that people genuinely don't like him.
Glad U.S. What did she have yesterday? 2,000 people? If I ever had 2,000 people.
AWOL. Yeah, he was never AWOL. Absence without leave. He retired with 24 years of military service to run for Congress. He's a veteran with 24 years. He's an Operation Enduring Freedom veteran. Even though he never saw combat or was in a combat zone, he deployed to multiple countries in Europe in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. So that gives him the label of Enduring Freedom veteran. He's just not a combat veteran.
Well, you'd say my campaign is finished. It's so dishonest, the press. And here's a great example. I had in Michigan recently 25,000 people.
In Michigan?
So dishonest, the press. And here's a great example.
I don't think it matters. After 24 years, if I serve for fucking 24 goddamn years and there's a deployment coming up, I would seriously, if I was ready for retirement, I would seriously consider retiring. Like a deployment is fucking hell. I would honestly consider retirement for 100%. If I had been in 4 years and they're like, re-up, we're deploying in 6 months, or don't re-up, I would consider it at that point. He had 24 fucking years deployed in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. He did his time. I don't think anybody can say shit to him about his military service.
I had in Michigan recently 25,000 people.
If you don't think that when people's contracts are up, they think about what is the chance that I'll get deployed, then you're a fucking lunatic. Everybody thinks about that. Well, I could stay in for another 4 years. I could do 2. What are the chances we might have a deployment? What are the chances we go to war with Russia? What are the chances I end up in Afghanistan or Ukraine or somewhere else? Of course they do.
25,000 people we just couldn't get them in. We had in Harrisburg 25,000 people, and 20,000 people couldn't get in. We had so many. Nobody ever mentions that.
20 years is minimum retirement, yeah.
When she gets 1,500 people, and I saw it yesterday on ABC, where they said, oh, the crowd was so big. I have 10 times, 20 times, 30 times the crowd size. And no, they never say the crowd was big. That's why I'm always saying turn around the cameras.
Trump may be the only person, the only president we've ever had that continued having fucking rallies after he was elected. It was just, I think he likes that hero worship stuff.
I'm so glad you asked that. I think it's so terrible when you say, well, she has 1,500 people, 1,000 people, and they...
When I was faced with like signing up or leaving the military or staying in for the career or whatever, one of the first things I thought was, what are the chances I get deployed again?
Talk about, oh, the enthusiasm. Let me tell you, we have the enthusiasm. The Republican Party, and me as a candidate, but the Republican Party has the enthusiasm because people want to see crime stopped. They want to see a country that's respected. Think of it. If I were president, you wouldn't have Russia and Ukraine, where it never happened. Zero chance. You wouldn't have had October 7th of Israel. You wouldn't have the horrible...
Retired the night before. That's not true. That's 1,000% not true. You couldn't do that. You couldn't leave a unit like when they're getting ready for deployment, you've got to turn in paperwork well before. They have to have a head count. They have to know who's there. If you're in some type of position like a section leader or what truck commander, they have to have that replacement already trained. You could not leave. It would have to be months and months and months before. I think he filed his paperwork at the first of the year, and they got called up in that summer. So like at least 4 or 5 months in advance.
Withdrawal. And I don't mean the withdrawal, because the withdrawal was fine. I was ready to withdraw from Afghanistan.
No, his end of service ran out before they deployed. So you retire months before you ever get out, right? You sign a contract 6 months before you get out. You retire 6 months, 8 months, 10 months before you get out. You let your intentions know that you're going to retire or you're not going to re-up. You are it's your end of service, and that date runs out whenever. Maybe it's the day before deployment. Maybe it's the day to deploy. That doesn't matter. You've already made your decision 6, 8, 10 months before that. It doesn't matter when your last day of service is.
And we were going to do it with dignity and strength.
Like when I made my intentions that I wasn't re-upping, we knew 4 or 5, probably 6 months before that my TOS date was this date. This is the date where I could say, fuck you, you don't owe me, whatever. But that was 6 months from now. Now, a lot of people get really lazy and don't do this, don't do it, because what does it matter? But yeah, you know well in advance. You can't retire on a dime. You can't be like, oh, you're deploying tomorrow, I retire today. The unit would not allow that. They would have to know, especially being in like a sergeant major spot. He probably did right seat, left seat drive, which is like on the job training for the guy he was put in that position and everything. Yeah, there's no way.
And we were going to.
He put his paperwork in. In like February, and his TOS date was like in fucking August or September or something like that year.
We were keeping our equipment. We weren't leaving $85 billion worth of equipment behind. And we wouldn't have had 13 great soldiers. I know the families of those soldiers well. We wouldn't have had these soldiers killed, and we wouldn't have had 45 soldiers obliterated. No legs, no arms, the face. None of that would have happened. And you wouldn't have had inflation. You wouldn't have had any inflation, because inflation was caused by their bad energy problems. Now they've gone back to the Trump thing because they need the votes.
No, we're drilling more oil because of Russia. What Russia's doing, right? He made a shit ton of money off opening up the reserves and then buying them back fucking dirt cheap. Biden did. And then, of course, we're going to have to become more energy independent with Russia tensions on the rise, right? And they're invading a country that we support.
I don't know if you know, they're drilling now because they had to go back because gasoline was going up to $7, $8, $9 a barrel. So they said, we better do what Trump. But the day after the election, if they won, you're going to have fuel prices go through the roof. Everybody's going to be forced to.
I think I paid like $2.83 a gallon today, or yesterday I got gas. For Derek Johnson to be the person accusing the guy of stolen valor, it's a fucking joke, right? Derek Johnson is not legally committing stolen valor, but colloquially, the way we use the term, he is the embodiment of stolen valor. I'm a wounded warrior.
Buy an electric car, which they're not going to do because they don't want that. It's got a great market. It's got a market. It's really a sub-market. People want gasoline-propelled cars. They want hybrids. They want to have everything, and they want electric. But they want everybody to have an electric car. We don't have enough electricity. We couldn't make enough electricity for that. And you know what else? The weight of a car, the weight of a truck. They want all trucks to be electric. Little things that a lot of people don't talk about. The weight of a truck is 2.5 times heavier. You would have to rebuild every bridge in this country if you were going to do this ridiculous policy. So, but on crowd size, in history, for any country, nobody's had crowds like I have, and you know that. And when
we need infrastructure, right? I'm never going to be the guy that's like, oh, we don't fucking need infrastructure. But this is not true about rebuilding every bridge in America. This just isn't true.
she gets 1,000 people and everybody starts jumping, you know that if I had 1,000 people would say that's the end of his campaign.
So one of the heaviest trucks, which is the heaviest electric vehicle right now, which is the Hummer EV. It's a full-size pickup truck. It weighs 9,000 pounds. The battery weighs 3,000. Now, the fully loaded, full-size GMC Sierra weighs 6,000. So the only difference in weight there is the battery. But you guys realize that trucks often have thousands of pounds of cargo in the back, right? So if we would have to rebuild every bridge in America because of a 9,000-pound truck, what about tractor and trailers? Right? You have 80,000-pound tractor and trailers driving around all the time right now.
I have hundreds of thousands of people in South Carolina. I had 88,000 people. In Alabama, I had 68,000 people. Nobody says about crowd size with me, but she has 1,000 people or 1,500 people, and they say, "Oh, the enthusiasm's back." No.
Trump bags about low gas prices and states the gas prices during fucking COVID, right? His statement of the gas prices are during COVID. We are below 2012 gas prices right now. On the national average, we're lower than gas prices in 2012 at $3.62. Of course, they took a dip during COVID. Fucking Trump also finessed OPEC, lied to them, and then they immediately after they finished the deal that he lied to them about, skyrocketed their prices back up. When they wanted to cut production, he made them guarantees if they would keep production up that he would I forget what the guarantee was, and then he reneged on that, and they instantly became fucking pissed off and skyrocketed the prices. Hold on, let's see if we can find it. I know we've read the story before, and it had to do with COVID too. Trump demanded that Saudi Arabia cut back production in 2020. According to Trump, he worked out a deal where OPEC producers would all agree to reduce their output. The reason we now have high oil prices is because they have not returned their pre-production pandemic levels. Hey, by the media standards of what makes a politician responsible for an event in this world, this is practically airtight. It's more than a bit bizarre that Donald Trump literally boasted about getting oil producers to cut production, but somehow President Biden is held responsible currently for high gas prices. Let's see if we can get this. So he basically told Saudi Arabia, cut oil supply or you'll lose your military support. As the United States pressed Saudi Arabia to end its oil price war with Russia, President Donald Trump gave Saudi leaders an ultimatum. In an April 2nd phone call, Trump told Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman that unless the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, started cutting oil production, he would be powerless to stop lawmakers from passing legislation to withdraw U.S. troops from the kingdom. 4 sources familiar with the matter told Reuters. The threat to upend a 75-year strategic alliance, which has not been previously reported, was central to the U.S. pressure campaign that led to a landmark global deal to slash oil supply as demand collapsed in the coronavirus pandemic, scoring a diplomatic victory for the White House. Trump delivered the message to the Crown Prince 10 days before the announcement of the production cuts. The kingdom's de facto leader was so taken aback by the threat that he ordered his aides out of the room so he could continue the discussion in private, according to a U.S. source who was briefed on the discussion by senior administration officials. The effort illustrated Trump's strong desire to protect U.S. oil industry from a historic price meltdown as government. But so oil platforms just can't, U.S. oil producers just can't start up overnight, right? You can't do that. When we cut oil production, it takes a long ass fucking time to get, when you shut down a plant and then you want to open it up, you might be talking 8 months, a year, 2 years to get that started back. So when we shut down a lot of these plants and when COVID shut down a lot of these plants, it took forever to get that back, right? And oil prices, you guys remember when fucking barrels of oil were upside down? Barrels of oil were upside down. Like, it wasn't really, but the market appeared that way. That was all COVID shit.
Enthusiasm is with me and the Republican Party. because they want to stop crime. They want to stop people from pouring into our country from places unknown and from countries unknown, from countries that nobody.
He also says that Trump also claims that when he was president, that we were energy independent. This is not true. I don't know why people repeat this. We have never, ever stopped importing foreign oil. So when he says energy independent, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. There has not been a time that there just isn't. We never stopped importing oil from foreign countries. So when he says energy independent, for the first time ever, we were independent. This has never happened ever. He calls it the Trump era of energy independence. So whatever his definition of independent is, it obviously involves multiple other countries that we import oil from.
Heard of.
Oil. I can't say oil. Sorry.
That's where the enthusiasm.
Two questions, if I can. Thank you, sir. Your campaign is targeting Pennsylvania and Georgia.
Yeah.
Get those two, you could seal the deal. That's what they say. How important?
So it says it's targeted in Georgia and Pennsylvania. With those two, you could probably seal the deal.
Is it to you, and is it salvageable for you to be able to repair the relationship with Governor Kemp?
I don't know.
Can you repair your relationship with Governor Kemp? Now, he claims that Governor Kemp was somehow inside on this. Just the phone call that he made to Raffensperger and Kemp should be enough that this motherfucker should be banned from being president. Find the votes. Just find them. What do you think he meant by that?
I don't know if I can or not. I got him elected.
The grid's going to have to change because we're definitely going to electric vehicles eventually. That's part of the infrastructure bill.
Without me, he wouldn't be governor. I got him elected. He was doing terribly. I got him elected. With that being said, I hope we can repair it. But if we don't, the people are still the people, and they're going to vote. We're leading in Georgia by a lot. We're leading in Pennsylvania by a lot. So, but I don't know. Now in Pennsylvania, I have great relationships. In Georgia, I do too, but unfortunately not with the governor. I've never understood it. When you get somebody elected, they're supposed to like you. He's not exactly for some reason, and you'll have.
You know what he's saying here, right? When you get somebody elected, they're supposed to. He doesn't mean they're supposed to go on the news and be like, "I really like that guy." He means when you get somebody elected, they're supposed to do your favors. They're supposed to do what you want. This is not true. And all of this is built on that. No one cares, or you're not giving up your gas car. It's not even a. It's like saying, "Oh well, we should produce more beef," and you're like, "I'll only eat pork forever." No, that's not what it means. But you can't say when you get somebody elected, they're supposed to like you a lot, and a lot of people do. And I call them up, and they say, "Man, I like you so much." Like this, our country is founded on this. Shouldn't happen, right? You shouldn't do favors for your friends.
To ask him about that. Yeah, I'd love to see it get repaired. I think that if we don't win Georgia, Georgia is a big win, is a big state. So I won Alabama by a record. Nobody's ever gotten that many votes. I won South Carolina by a record. You don't win Alabama and South Carolina by records and lose Georgia. It doesn't happen.
This is not a thing. You could win 49 states by record and still lose a state. What does this fucking mean? The people live in different states. They vote differently. They have different things that matter to them. Like, yes, you can.
And the people of Georgia understand that. There was tremendous anxiety and problems in Georgia. A lot of people say, what happened? And we have to, all we want is honest elections. If we have honest elections in Georgia, we have honest elections in Pennsylvania, we're going to win them by a lot.
President Biden basically saying that he doesn't think, he fears, that there wouldn't be a peaceful transfer of power if you lose this election.
Well,
He thinks that he fears that there won't be a peaceful transfer of power if you lose, right? He thinks that you're going to do the same shit you just did. I believe that. I believe that we will be on the verge of a fucking crisis if Trump genuinely loses, because he's already said A lot of people were upset. A lot of people, we're going to fix this. We're going to do this. You won't have to vote again, blah, blah, blah. And then he says, they ask him, will you accept the election results if it's fair? He's already putting a clause in there as if it's not going to be fair, or what he really means is if I lose, then I'm going to say it wasn't fair. Now, even in 2020, to those close to him, he admitted he lost the election. Not he was cheated, not they rigged it, not they stole it from him. He admitted he lost the election to people close to him while also telling you that it was rigged and you should be upset and they did this and they cheated. When Giuliani had to defend his claims about vote rigging, he said, I lied, but it should be protected under the First Amendment. When Donald Trump had to defend his claims about vote rigging and fraud and cheating, he said, I'm immune. I don't have to answer that.
He said it two ways. First, he said it incorrectly, then he corrected himself. Do you agree with that, right? You know, if you watch him, he said it two ways. No. I mean, he said it two ways because he doesn't really know what he said. Why didn't he bring it up at the debate? You know, he had a chance for 90 minutes to bring it up at the debate. He could have talked about that at the debate, and he didn't do it. Everyone said, oh.
Wait, you were supposed to answer the questions at the debate. You're the one who's like, no, and I'll tell you what, I've seen his golf swing. There's no way he's a 7 handicap. I've seen your swing. It's disgusting.
He said this and he said that. He's just, you know, they give him something to read off. He read it very badly because he actually said it the opposite. Then he had to go back and correct himself. He said the opposite. He should have brought this up at the debate. If he had a problem, of course there'll be a peaceful transfer.
He actually did that. He was reading it off. He was reading off a list that he's like reading Mary Had a Little Lamb. You guys all know the story. Mary Had a Little Lamb. Flea says, gold as Donald Trump's hair. You know what I'm saying? And he said it backwards. He actually said the opposite. He said the opposite. What is this? He does it all the time. The opposite.
And there was last time, and there'll be a peaceful transfer. I just hope we're going to have honest elections. That's all, okay?
Honest elections means that I win and no one questions it. Because if it doesn't happen that way, I'm already calling it. He's going to say it was rigged. He's already done it.
Had a public campaign event for nearly a week now, surrounding in Montana, which is not a swing state. Some of your allies have expressed concern that you're not taking this race seriously, particularly.
What a stupid question this is.
So she says some of your colleagues, some other Republicans think you're maybe not taking this race as seriously as you should.
On the other side, why haven't you been campaigning?
Because I'm leading by a lot and because I'm letting their convention go through. And I am campaigning a lot. I'm doing tremendous amounts of taping here. We have commercials that are at a level I don't think that anybody's ever done before. Plus, in certain cases, I see many of you in the room where I'm speaking to you on phones, I'm speaking to radio, I'm speaking to television. Television's coming over here. Excuse me, what are we doing right now? She's not doing any news conference. You know why she's not doing it? Because she can't do a news conference. She doesn't know how to do a news conference. She's not smart enough to do a news conference.
I wonder how many, obviously I'm not a woman. Well, sometimes I think I'm a lesbian trapped in a man's body, but I wonder how many women take offense to that when he says, she's not smart enough to do this, she's a DEI hire, she's not even, of course she's smart enough to say, I want to have a news conference, be here at 2. I wonder how many, now he would say, I'm personally attacking her, not because she's a woman, because her IQ or whatever he says, but I wonder how many women take offense to that. Almost like mansplaining, I guess.
And I'm sorry, we need smart people to lead this country because our country's never been in this danger before, both economically and from an outside perspective. Russia doesn't respect us anymore. China doesn't respect us anymore. North Korea, Kim Jong-un liked me a lot. He doesn't like this group.
I know how it feels. Trust me. I come up here and try to do comedy every night, and comedy's not easy. That's why they don't let women do it, or at least they don't let them do it successfully. I understand. So it must be a struggle, being a woman, not being smart enough to call a news conference, not being funny, not having any intellectual ideas to add to a thought-provoking conversation. tinier feet so you can get closer to the stove. I mean, those are things you guys have to deal with, and I don't know. I wouldn't know anything about it.
We are in great danger. We're in great danger of being in World War III. That could happen. No, after their convention, yeah. And I'm going out to certain places to help certain senators get elected. Not even for me. I'm trying to help when I go out to Wyoming or when I go out to Montana, or I'm going to different places to help people. And I don't have to go there because I'm leading those states, as you know, by 35, 40, 50 points. I'm leading by record numbers. I'm going because I want to help senators and congressmen get elected. Congressmen and women get elected. Yes, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Today, I don't think today at all was a good day for Trump on the media. Have you heard some of his responses?
The upcoming what?
Interview with Elon Musk on Monday.
Oh, yeah.
Now saying that the Chinese Communist Party is trying to use American social media platforms to spread this propaganda. What do you think
Yeah, the Elon Musk. So, yeah, sure. So Elon called me. As you know, he endorsed me full-throated. Great endorsement. I respect Elon a lot.
He endorsed you with what?
Yeah, the Elon Musk. So, yeah, sure. So Elon called me. As you know, he endorsed me full-throated. Great endorsement.
I could see that. To be honest with you, you know, all the people that are looking for like foreign actors actively trying to influence our election and meddling on social media. It's always funny that everybody's looking for conspiracy, but nobody thinks about Elon Musk, right? He's not a natural-born citizen, right? He's from South Africa. He come in and bought up Twitter, and he's changed it into what they believe the left does on social media is what he actually does for the right on social media. And everybody's like, oh, no, he's good. He's got rockets or something, right? Full-throated.
I respect Elon a lot. He respects me. And not easy for him to endorse, to be honest with you. You know, it takes courage to endorse people.
I wonder if anybody asked him about, have you guys heard about the potential Egyptian cash scandal that went on? So apparently, when Trump was running in 2016, he spoke to the leader of the Egyptian president. And at the same time, his campaign was like, hey, we're kind of struggling. You know, it's kind of a toss-up in the polls. We don't know what's going to happen. We need an influx of money. So his campaign at the time was trying to get him to contribute $10 million to his campaign budget. And he was apprehensive about that. He didn't know. He didn't know if he's going to win, didn't know if it was worth it. Of course, if he knew he was going to win, he would have just threw it in there if he knew it would make him win. But at the time, it was kind of up in the air. We didn't know who was going to win. So he speaks with the Egyptian president. There are multiple reports at this bank that's known to keep the U.S. supply, the U.S. money supply for the Egyptian country, right? They have cash money supply in a Cairo bank. There was multiple people that reported that same day that $10 million was withdrawn from that bank. And then a couple giant duffel bags, real secretive, like really weird. The State Department knew about this. And then there was potentially a transfer of money through the spy network. And then they had and later on in 2016, there was the United Nations closed door meeting he had with the Egyptian president. And the State Department, the FBI, the people, they were legitimately investigating this. They were shut down multiple times when they wanted to like get bank records and transfers and stuff like that. But they were federal prosecutors were legitimately investigating this and thought that there was a high potential that he had taken $10 million from the Egyptian government to fund his campaign. Now, it didn't get out for a long-ass time, right? It didn't get out for a long-ass time here. But it seems like it was shut down with maybe not all the avenues looked into. Yeah, it was kind of crazy. And just the even if it would just been a donation, you think what? So foreign leaders cannot donate to U.S. candidates at all whatsoever. It's too close to like favors, to quid pro quo. They cannot. It just seems like there's a lot of weird shit that was going on at that time, and I don't feel like it was fully investigated. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm biased.
Many people have courage and many people don't. He does have courage. And Elon endorsed me, and he asked me whether or not I'd do a show on Monday, and I think it's going to be Monday night. And I believe he's the host of the show, so it'll be very interesting. A lot of people are talking about it. I look forward to it. That'll be done on Monday night.
And just a quick question. What do you think social media companies in America should do to combat potentially misinformation spread by the Chinese?
Well, you have a lot of misinformation spread about China, and you have a lot of misinformation spread about a lot of different places. I think I'm going to get along great with China. President Xi of China and I were very good friends. We met right here, right in that, except we had a beautiful sofa there as opposed to what we have right now.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. I heard J.D. Vance's erection from here. A beautiful sofa.
Right now we have you. But President Xi and I had a very good relationship until COVID, and I held him responsible for COVID. It broke up our relationship, but I think we're going to have a great relationship, and I think it's going to be mutually beneficial. But we cannot have it where China is taking advantage of the United States, and that's what they were doing, as you very well know. Yes, please.
Mr. President, you just said that there was a peaceful transfer of power last time when you left office. You didn't see January 6th as a violent attack. How is that a peaceful transfer of power?
What's your
They asked him again about the peaceful transfer of power when he left office.
question?
My question is, you think that last time there was a peaceful transfer of power when you left office?
Do you think that last time was a peaceful transfer of power after what happened on January 6th and everything else?
No, I think the people that, if you look at January 6th, which
Here we go.
a lot of
This is, do you think that, I didn't want to misquote the question, so I didn't say it earlier. Do you think that given January 6th and all the stuff that happened, do you think that last time you left office, it was a peaceful transfer of power? Let's see how he answers it.
what's your question?
My question is, you think that last time there was a peaceful transfer of power when you left office? Just like
No, I think the people that, if you look at January 6th, which a lot of people aren't talking about very much, I think those people were treated very harshly. When you compare them to other things that took place in this country where a lot of people were killed, nobody was killed on January 6th. But I think that the people of January 6th were treated very unfairly, and they were there to complain, not through me, they were there to complain about an election. And, you know, it's very interesting. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I said peacefully and patriotically, which nobody wants to say, but I said peacefully and patriotically. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken to, and you've seen, Maggie, I was at the mall, I was at the Washington Monument, I was at the whole thing. I had crowds, I don't know who's ever had a bigger crowd than I have, but I had it many times. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken before was that day, and I'll tell you, it's very hard to find a picture of that crowd. You see the picture of a small number of people relatively going to the Capitol, but you never see the picture of the crowd. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken, I've spoken to the biggest crowds. Nobody's spoken to crowds bigger than me. If you look at Martin Luther King, when he did his speech, his great speech, and you look at ours, same real estate, same everything, same number of people, if not, we had more. And they said he had 1 million people, but I had 25,000 people. But when you look at the exact same picture, and everything's the same because it was the fountains, the whole thing, all the way back to from Lincoln to Washington, and you look at it, and you look at the picture of his crowd, my crowd, we actually had more people. They said I had 25,000, and he had 1 million people, and I'm okay with it because I liked Dr. Martin Luther King. Yeah, please.
All right. Former President Donald Trump has social media comparing photos and looking in history books after he claimed the crowd during his January 6, 2021 Stop the Steal rally was bigger than the estimated crowd of 250,000 people who attended Martin Luther King Jr.'s March on Washington. This was the I Have a Dream speech, by the way. Trump made the comparison on Thursday during a news conference at his Mar-a-Lago club in Palm Beach, Florida. I'll tell you, it's very hard to find a picture of that crowd. You'll see a picture, a small number of people, relatively, going to the Capitol, but you'll never see the picture of the crowd. The Republican presidential nominee said of the 2021 crowd, some of whom preceded the storm on the U.S. Capitol. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken to. I've spoken to the biggest crowds. Nobody's spoken to crowds bigger than me. Trump then compared the crowd at his rally to the number of people in attendance for the revolutionary civil rights leader's famous "I Have a Dream" speech on August 28, 1963. If you look at Martin Luther King when he did his speech, his great speech, and you look at ours, same real estate, same everything, same number of people. If not, we had more, Trump said. They said he had 1 million people, but I had 250,000. But when you look at the exact same picture and everything's the same, it was the fountains, the whole thing, all the way back to from Lincoln to Washington. And you look at it, and you look at the picture of this crowd, and my crowd, we actually had more people. They said I had 25,000, and he had 1 million people, and I'm okay with it because I like Dr. Martin Luther King. How many people were at the Stop the Steal rally? The House Select Committee that investigated the event of January 6th estimated that Trump's speech drew 53,000 supporters. Now, not all of them went to the Capitol, but 53,000 supporters at the speech. From a tent backstage at the Ellipse, President Trump looked at the crowd of approximately 53,000 supporters and became enraged, according to the 187 minutes of dereliction report just before. Oh, I want that report. Just under half of those gathered, a sizable stretch of about 25,000 people refused to walk through the magnetometers. So he had about 25,000 wouldn't come through the gate in the magnetometers, leaving the venue looking half empty to television audience at home. Multiple ex-users, including Andrew Wortman, shared posts comparing side-by-side aerial shots of the two crowds. So here we go. Here's a couple. Let's see the images. Let's call in the experts. I got some photo experts, guys. They're really good guys. They're Jewish, but I like them. Sounds like something Trump would say. So here's one crowd. Okay. Here's another crowd. Oh, you can't see them? Hold on. That's them down there. Half the crowd wouldn't go past the magnetometers. Half the crowd would. Others, including former CNN host Don Lemon, responded to Trump's claim on X with skepticism. He's on television comparing his crowd sizes to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Lemon said in a video he posted to X. He really does have a dream, a fever dream. Jim Messina, a political advisor who was the White House Deputy Chief of Staff for operations under former President Barack Obama, shared an X post saying, "More Trump in front of a mic, please." Trump bragging about the size of a January 6th crowd, saying that January 6th insurrection speech had more people than MLK Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. Please, more Trump in front of a mic, please. The National Association for Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, responded to Trump's claims on X, saying Donald Trump just said that he had a bigger crowd on January 6th than Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Did when he delivered I Have a Dream. Not only is this completely false, but here's what is more important. MLK's speech was about democracy. Trump's was about tearing it down. We have more photos. Hold on. MLK, right? MLK. Literally, I can't see the end of people in this photo. MLK. Trump. Guys, it's not even fucking close. It's not even fucking close.
You said repeatedly on Truth Social that it was unconstitutional for the Democrats to replace President Biden with Vice President Harris as their candidate.
By the way, no one claims that. No one claims that Martin Luther King Jr. had 1 million people in the crowd. Trump's just dumb. So when he hears the term the Million Man March, which is what it was called, right? The I Have a Dream speech, the March on Washington, the Million Man March. He thinks that means there was 1 million men there.
Can you explain your constitutional analysis? Which part of the
Yeah, sure. We have a constitution. It's a very important document, and we live by it. She has no votes, and I'm very happy to run against her. I'm not complaining from that standpoint. And I hate to be defending him, but he did not want to leave. He wanted to see if he could.
Wait, no, the Million Man March was later, right? Hold on. Now that I Googled it, I'm wrong. The Million Man March was in 95. What was the other one was called the March on Washington. I am wrong. The March on Washington had 250,000 people. The Million Man March was apparently in 95.
Win. They said you're not going to win
And you
after
can't
the
count
debate. They said
women
you're
and
not gonna
children,
win,
that's a
you
man's
can't win,
march.
You're out. And I think him live by it. She has no votes, and I'm very happy to run.
which part of the
Yeah, sure. We have a constitution. It's a very important document, and we live by it. She has no votes, and I'm very happy to run against her. I'm
for the Democrats to replace President Biden with Vice President Trump? You said repeatedly on Truth Social that it was unconstitutional
Unconstitutional to replace Joe Biden with Kamala Harris.
for the Democrats to replace President Biden with Vice President Harris as their candidate. Can you explain your constitutional analysis? Which part of the
Yeah, sure. We have a constitution. It's a very important document, and we live by it. She has
The Million Man March was Farrakhan, I guess. I had to Google it. I thought that's what they called it.
no votes, and I'm very happy to run against her. I'm not complaining from that standpoint. And I hate to be defending him, but he did not want to leave. He wanted to see if he could win. They said you're not going to win after the debate. They said you're not going to win, you can't win, you're out. And at first they said it nicely, and he wasn't leaving. And then you know it better than anybody. Wait a minute. So when you think about it, they said at first they were going to go out to another vote. They were going to go through a primary system, a quick primary system, which it would have to be. And then it all disappeared, and they just picked a person that was the first out. She was the first loser, okay?
So I don't think so. Super delegates are never bound. Delegates are bound. So the RNC and DNC do this two different ways. The DNC has super delegates and then regular delegates. The delegates are bound to Joe Biden. He won the primary. He can step aside and advise them on who to vote for. The super delegates can vote for whoever they want anyways.
So we call her the first loser. She was the first loser when during the primary system. During the Democrat primary system, she was the first one to quit, and she quit. She had no votes, no support, and she was a bad debater, by the way, very bad debater.
You're talking about two different elections here, bro. So he's talking about her dropping out in 2016. And then talking about Joe Biden dropping out in 2024. I'm sorry, 2020 and 2024. Let's see. She dropped out on December 3rd, 2019. California Senator Kamala Harris is dropping out of the presidential race, citing lack of funds. She informed her campaign staff of the decision on a conference call, later sent an email to supporters in which she wrote, "My campaign for president simply doesn't have the financial resources we need to continue." Harris's departure 2 months before voting and caucusing began in the presidential contest marks an abrupt end to a campaign that, for much of the winter and spring, looked like a top-tier presidential contender. I've taken stock and I've looked at this from every angle, and over the last few days, I've come to one of the hardest decisions of my life, Harris said in a video announcing her decision. As the campaign has gone on, it has become harder and harder to raise the money that we need to compete. Harris kicked off her campaign in front of 20,000 supporters in Oakland, California, and consistently drew large crowds in Iowa, South Carolina, and other early primary states. She was among the top tiers of the candidates. So she's the worst one, is just rewriting history, right?
And that's not the thing I'm looking forward to, but she was a bad debater. She did obviously a bad job. She never made it to Iowa. Then for some reason, and I know he regrets it, you do too, he picked her And she turned on him too. She was working with the people that wanted him out. But the fact that you can get no votes, lose in the primary system, in other words, you had 14 or 15 people, she was the first one out, and that you can then be picked to run for president, it seems to me actually unconstitutional. Perhaps it's not. Please.
Are there any ways you see her as more challenging opponent?
Is there any way you see Harris more challenging than Biden?
So I've run against Hillary, and I've run against various other people. I would say that in terms of intelligence, Hillary was far superior. I would say that. Hillary was smart. She was her own worst enemy in many ways, but she was smart, very smart. Okay? If you ask me to compare them, please.
You staked out the position on Lincoln that was probably more popular with general election voters than many in the Republican primary.
Stop it.
Given that that's your position, how do you plan to vote in Florida's abortion ballot referendum?
Would you repeat that question?
Yeah, now he's got to say Hillary's smart because he can't compliment either one of the other two now, right? And that's who he's ran against was Biden, Kamala, and Hillary. So he can't compliment either one of those. So he has to say Hillary is smart. Remember, lock her up, and then he won. He ran on literally holding her accountable for her crimes and making sure she goes to court and then in jail. And then after he won, he's like, she's had enough. You don't think that pissed off his followers?
Please. You have to speak up.
Yes, sir. I said
It's a hard room because it's very big, if you know. So this is worth $18 million. Oh, I see.
Shit like this. Do you think this helps him with the average person? Do you think the average person who's struggling to pay their bills, who wants some relief or whatever, when he's like, you have to speak up. I'm not going to take a question from you. You don't speak up. It's a huge room. It's $18 million. That's how much it cost. You got to be louder. And this is him trying to be funny, but he makes fun of Kamala for laughing. I don't even think I've ever seen Trump laugh but a couple times in his life. And this is him trying to be funny. You got to talk big when you're the $18 million house.
that was probably more popular.
I set the video category as stupid criminals, which we're talking about one right now.
General election voters and many of your Republican rivals in the primary. You said leaders of states.
Grifters are stupid criminals.
Given that Florida is a state voting on this,
Yeah.
how do you plan to vote? Do you plan to?
So I think the abortion issue has been very much tempered down, and I've answered, I think, very well in the debate, and it seems to be.
So he thinks that abortion is not going to be a big issue, basically, is what he's going to say this to. But I don't think he knows. Does he know any women that he's not paying to sleep with him? Like, you can't just say, I don't think abortion will be an issue.
Much less of an issue, especially for those where they have the exceptions, as you know. And I think it's when I look for 52 years, they wanted to bring abortion back to the states. They wanted to get rid of Roe v. Wade. And that's Democrats, Republicans, and independents, and everybody. Liberals, conservatives, everybody wanted it back in the states. And I did that. Now the states are voting. And frankly, some of the votes are much more, if you could say, liberal than you would think. Ohio turned out to be, they had a big vote, and it turned out to be a much more liberal standing than people would have thought. Kansas, the same thing. And then you have Texas, and you have other places where it may be different. But the issue has been brought back to the states now. And like Ronald Reagan.
Trump may be bad enough for the if this goes as good as it could for Kamala and as bad as it seems to be going currently for Trump, he could single-handedly be turning a lot of states blue or purple.
I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly. I think that that's a very important thing. I think when you have to follow your heart, but when you don't believe in the exceptions, I think it's much tougher. It's a much tougher issue. But about 82% of Republicans do believe in exceptions. I think and a lot of them are changing their mind and coming even further. I think that abortion has become much less of an issue. It's a very small, I think it's actually going to be a very small issue. What I've done is I've done what every Democrat and every Republican wanted to have done, and we brought that issue back to the states. And now the states are voting on it. And frankly, some of the votes are a lot different than people would have thought. But it's the vote of the people is taking care of it. And, when you think about the radical,
it's not the vote of the people. You kicked it back down to the states when like 35 out of the 50 states have a Republican governor or Congress, or there's a supermajority in like 30 states or some shit.
The Democrats are really the radical ones on this because they're allowed to do abortion on the 8th and 9th month and even after birth. If you look at your new governor from Minnesota, he's like the governor previous, the former governor. I don't want to get him mixed up because Glenn is doing a good job and he's leading our whole campaign in Virginia, Glenn Youngkin. But previous to Glenn, the governor, he said the baby will be born, we will put the baby aside, and we will decide with the mother what we're going to do. In other words, whether or not we're going to kill the baby. The Minnesota gentleman, this guy agrees with that. He is the most liberal. Look, between her and him, there's never been anything like this. There's never been a combination. So I'll use the word.
So the people that just show up, like that woman at first when she was like, I guess you just want to be a fucking communist. And I asked them like, well, what are these radical ideas that they have? They're just repeating stuff Trump says, right? Socialist. She said socialist. You want to live in a socialist country, I guess. What are the socialist ideas that they have? What do they plan on? What do they plan on implementing? Nothing. No response. Nothing was said. They just left.
Progressive. They want to go progressive. They don't like the word liberal. I like liberal better. I think it's more appropriate because nobody knows what progressive means. But they now like to use.
I did too, Stephanie. And a late switch like the way they did, I didn't know that they'd be able to, everybody get together, throw their weight behind them, and people actually be excited about it. But it seems like there was some apprehension in the left building behind Biden and voting for him because of maybe his debate performance and all the shit online about him fucking his mental deterioration, right? And it was almost like a relief, like, oh, wow, and it seems like they swayed pretty quick.
The word progressive, but there's certainly never been anybody so liberal like these two, or even close. I think the abortion issue has been taken down many notches. I don't think it's a big factor anymore, really. And when people hear what I said in the debate, and I think I said it very well during the debate,
not only did it kick it back in the states, but now they're talking about fucking monitoring. Let's say you get pregnant, or someone you love gets pregnant, and the state monitors your baby to see if something happens to it, and you could face criminal fucking charges, right? Or if you leave the state and go get an abortion somewhere else, or Plan B pills, criminal fucking charges, and monitoring the health of the baby. Talk about Big Brother. I thought they wanted smaller government and not what the fuck is going on?
Brought it back to the states. Everybody wanted it in the states. And very importantly, and you think about this,
MAGA's keeping it real. In fairy tale land, where do they fucking keep it real? They're still saying the fucking election was stolen.
Assuming you have exceptions. If you don't have exceptions, it's a more difficult thing. At the same time, there are people that strongly feel that way, and you have to follow your heart, and you should follow your heart.
Follow your heart, guys.
But that issue is very much subdued. Yeah, thank you.
What should we do about this legal precedent and laws on the books or Supreme Court rulings? Follow your heart. Drill, baby, drill. I always drill my heart after I follow it.
I want to ask you about the assassination attempt.
About who?
About the assassination attempt.
The more Trump talks about the assassination attempt, the less I believe he was hit by a bullet. I don't know how else to phrase. I know this sounds crazy. I don't know how else to phrase it. The more he speaks about it, because he is this guy who lies over the top about, and I thought it was a big mosquito. I thought, man, that's a big mosquito. They have they have big mosquitoes like in Alaska. Things are like bats. I thought, man, the Alaskan mosquitoes have come right here to Butler. A big mosquito got my ear, and it ripped the flesh from my ear bone. And I thought, man, the mosquito was trying to pick me up. Next thing you know, I was down. The whole world stopped communicating. Like, the more he talks about it, the less I'm convinced he was hit by a bullet. Like, if I would have just got like a doctor's report and he would have just been like, oh, I'm doing well, thanks for asking, fine. But the more he talks about it, the less I believe it.
Yes.
Did the fact that somebody used an AR-15 gun at all change your impression of people's access to that weapon?
No, I didn't. Look, if you take away guns.
So the question was, the fact that he used an AR-15, does that change or make you believe more in like background checks or anything that have to do with that gun?
She wants to take away everyone's gun. If you take away guns, you can't do it. Because people need the guns for protection. Now, entertainment, they want it. Hunting, they would, different things. But they need weapons for protection in this country. People live out in the woods, and they're not going to have
Mama said, they's my special legs, and they'd take me anywhere.
a gun. Now, entertainment, they want it. Hunting, they would, different things. But they need weapons.
Gun at all.
You can't do it. Because people need the guns for protection. Now, entertainment, they want it. Hunting, they would, different things. But they need weapons for protection in this country. People live out in the woods, and they're not going to have a gun. If you look at some countries, I don't want to get them in trouble, but some countries have actually gone the opposite way. They had very strong gun laws, and now they have gone the opposite way, where they allowed people to have guns, where in one case they encouraged people to go out.
Kim Johnson is replying to somebody that commented over 2 hours ago on it's the Facebook. I don't Facebook can't be real people, right?
To get guns, and crime is down 29%. And remember this, what is the toughest gun law in the United States? Chicago.
What is the toughest gun law in the United States? Chicago. I always feel like Trump is in middle school and he forgot for the last 2 weeks to write an oral report that he was supposed to give, and he's making it up on the spot in front of his teacher. Now remember this, big mosquitoes like Alaska. We were just talking about the mosquitoes. What is the toughest gun law in America? Town of Chicago.
July 4th, 117 people were shot and 17 died. The toughest gun laws in the United States are in the city.
I'm getting super, like full-blown red pill racist against Facebook people. If you watch on Facebook, you're going to have to watch on a different platform.
Of Chicago, you know that. They had 117 people shot. Afghanistan does not have that. Afghanistan, by the way, was the lowest point in the history of our country, in my opinion. That was the worst embarrassment to the history of this country, and I say Putin would not have gone into Ukraine.
Do you want background checks on AR-15s? Afghanistan, by the way, the lowest point in our country.
If that didn't happen. When he saw the incompetence of Milley and all these guys that are incompetent, when he saw that happen, when they took out the soldiers first, they took out the soldiers first. You know, if you go back and check your records, For 18 months, I had a talk with Abdul. Abdul was the leader of the Taliban, still is. But I had a strong talk with him.
The Taliban, like it's a Cinnabon.
For 18 months, not one American soldier was shot at or killed, but not even shot at. 18 months, and then we had the disaster of the lift, where people were falling off airplanes from 3 times the height of the World Trade Center. I mean, terrible. But now our country has to be respected again. Please. Go ahead, please.
There was some reporting, I believe, in the New York Times that Kamala Harris said she might be open to the idea of a weapons embargo against Israel. I wonder if you can comment on that. Would that be
I'd be against that.
And also on the
That Kamala is in favor of not giving Israel weapons? Yeah. That's what I hear. Look, she's been very, very bad to Israel, and she's been very
Why is his mouth so small?
bad to Jewish people. And I say
He may be full-throated, but he's tiny-teethed.
it. If anybody I know is Jewish and they would vote for Kamala,
Radical
over me,
Kamala.
they should have their head examined. If you think about it, I gave them Golan Heights. I gave them the capital of Israel, Jerusalem. I even built the embassy. I gave them no Iran deal. The problem is they didn't do anything with it. Iran was broke. We could have made a deal so easily. I would have had a deal done within 1 week after the election with Iran. Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. We would have gotten along with Iran. I was looking forward to it. I was fine with Iran. You know, we hit them a couple of times pretty hard, but we would have been fine with Iran. But I terminated that deal. I got them the Abraham Accords. Everyone said that's impossible. I got them the Abraham Accords. She's been very, very bad to Israel, and she's been very bad and disrespectful to Jewish people. And any Jewish person that votes for Kamala and her friend, her new friend, who I don't
Isn't she married to a Jewish person?
know if she knew him before, but I don't think he's too good. But anybody that votes for them, if you're Jewish or if you love Israel, you have to have your head examined. Go ahead, please.
I'll be, hold on just a second. Sorry, I'll be right back. I can play some music. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. I just saw, I don't know, I saw somebody on the Ring camera. I didn't know who it was. It freaked me out for a minute. We're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. Yeah, it was weird. I don't know.
They have. The FBI came to see me about the shooter.
Okay.
I think they've done a very good job. And I think they did a very good job with respect to this other lunatic that they have in custody. Please.
There's been some discussion around Vice President Harris's relationship with Willie Brown,
Yeah.
former mayor of San Francisco, and how that might have intersected with her career trajectory. So I'm just wondering if you followed that discussion at all.
Well, I know Willie Brown very well. In fact, I went down in a helicopter with him. We thought maybe this is the end. We were in a helicopter.
So the other lunatic he's talking about is the murder for hire Pakistani guy, right? So there's apparently a Pakistani guy who with ties to Iran, who had some type of plot, like a murder for hire plot. That's what he's talking about, I'm assuming.
Going to a certain location together, and there was an emergency landing. This was not a pleasant landing, and Willie was he was a little concerned. So I know him pretty well. I mean, I haven't seen him in years, but he told me terrible things about her. But this is what you're telling me anyway, I guess. But he had a big part in what happened with Kamala. But he I don't know, maybe he's changed his tune, but he was not a fan of hers very much at that point.
Do you believe Vice President Harris would certify your election victory?
Oh, that was a laugh?
Yeah, I do.
But he had an allergic reaction.
Go ahead. At that point.
Do you believe Vice President Harris would certify your election victory?
Do you believe Vice President Harris will certify your election victory? I don't think it's ever a question. And it hasn't been a question either way for years and years and years until very recently. But still, it shouldn't call into question the Democrats. They weren't the people trying to subvert the fucking election. That was the Republicans. So why would you even ask this? Because I guarantee you that Trump would try to impede it, just like he already did. Imagine being so fucking felted over the motherfucker that you don't even show up to the goddamn inauguration. You won't send Air Force One to pick the guy up. You leave early and make sure that the military's there to give you a 21-gun salute so you can fly off looking strong 2 hours before the inauguration and go and hide in fucking Florida. Like, you can't be big enough to show up. Like, you lost, guy. We get it. It's happened tons of times. You can't be a big enough man to show up to the inauguration.
Yeah, I do. Go ahead.
And like everybody, all the people that come in the chat and they're like, oh, this is clearly a radical left guy. He must be a socialist, liberal, blah, blah, blah. I did everything I could to try to, I'm embarrassed by now, but I supported Trump. Donated, campaigned, worked the fucking phone bank. The guy's a piece of shit. I'm glad I finally saw it.
On what?
How are you planning to vote on Florida's abortion referendum?
Well, I'm going to announce that. I'm going to actually have a press conference on that at some point in the near future, so I don't want to tell you now. But Florida.
Shit, I didn't hear it.
Go ahead.
How are you planning to vote on Florida's abortion referendum?
On what?
How are you planning?
Oh, how are you voting on Florida's abortion referendum? I guess does Florida have a referendum coming? Like everybody votes on something for abortion? Jessa or anybody that would know?
Vote on Florida's abortion referendum.
Well, I'm going to announce that. I'm going to actually have a press conference on that at some point in the near future, so I don't want to tell you now. But
that means he didn't know that there was a referendum coming. That's exactly because he doesn't. So he can't say I'm going to vote for it because it could be a pro-abortion, it could be an anti-abortion. He can't say I'm going to vote against it. That all that means is he didn't know that there was a vote coming up. 100%. Oh shit! I thought I played the video.
Florida does have a vote coming up on that, and I think probably the vote will go in a little more liberal way than people thought. But I'll be announcing that at the appropriate time. Please.
Mr. President, your tax cuts from your administration will be coming up, fairly soon and potentially expiring. I wanted to ask you specifically about the tax code favoring parents versus people who don't have children. There are a number of tax breaks.
Yeah. Oh, we gave tremendous for child care and all of that. No.
Talking about tax breaks in the tax code.
Cuts, which are the biggest in history, our tax cuts are coming due, as you know, very soon. And if the
no, fuck you. Our tax cuts already expired. The ones that are coming due are on your wealthy friends. The vast majority of Americans already lost their tax breaks. What do you mean they're coming due? This is how out of fucking touch he is with actual people. He just said our tax breaks are coming. Yeah, yours are, and your friends are. You fucking ours have been gone for years.
Democrats don't renew them or make it impossible to renew because it's pretty close in terms of vote. If they don't renew them, it's the equivalent of having a 4 times tax increase from what you have right now, and it'll destroy the economy. I think they're under tremendous pressure to do it. I've never seen, all my life I grow up and I watch politics, and I used to be on the other side of politics first, and then I run for office. But in all the years of studying politics, I've never seen people get elected by saying, we're going to give you a tax increase. These guys get up, think of it. We're going to give you no security. We're going to give you a week.
This is not what they've said. Biden ran on anybody that makes $400,000 or less, there'll be no tax increase, right? The increase is for the wealthy. Anybody over 400, it might be 500,000. And that hasn't happened. He hasn't raised taxes on anybody under 400. Now, Trump's tax breaks expired that he wrote for us for 2 years and for everybody else for fucking 8 years, for the wealthy for 8 years. But Biden did raise the taxes. He's not running on raising taxes not for normal people.
Military. We're going to give you no walls, no borders, no anything. We're going to, all these things they're doing. I mean, the transgender became such a big thing, but they do all of these things, but they always say, we're going to give you a tax increase. I never heard anybody campaign on a tax increase. A politician has always said, I will cut taxes. I'll give you one example. Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security.
I forgot my camera's on my space bar.
Going to leave Social Security. I'm not raising the years. I'm not raising the age. I will be saving Social Security, and I'm going to work it out that there's no tax on Social Security for seniors. I'm also doing no tax on tips. No tax on tips. So waiters, waitresses, caddies, people that drive cars, people that get tips who have been harassed by this government, we're going to have no tax on tips. That's a big thing. Yeah, oh, absolutely, sure. Because other people have done far bigger things than Steve Bannon, sure. It's politically motivated. I think it's a horrible thing they did.
Steve Bannon should be out of jail.
They've weaponized government against me. Look at the Florida case. It was a totally weaponized case. All of these cases, by the way, the New York cases are totally controlled out of the Department of Justice. They sent their top person to the various places. They went to the AG's office, got that one going. Then he went to the DA's office, got that one going, ran through it. No, this is all politics, and it's a disgrace. Never happened in this country. It's very common that it happens, but not in our country. It happens in banana republics and third world countries, and that's what we're becoming. We have no borders. We have bad voting regulations. Anytime you have mail-in ballots, you're going to have problems. France learned that lesson. France had all mail-in voting, and they went back to paper ballots, voter identification, voter ID. They went back to a normal system, one-day voting. They don't want to be around, voting for 64 days. And look, the election, I keep talking about November 5th, but the election really starts on September 6th. That's when it starts because it's early voting. We should have one-day voting. We should have paper ballots. We should have voter ID, and we should have proof of citizenship. Please. No, the gentleman in the back.
Mr. President, do you support continuation tax credit for EVs?
For who?
For electric vehicles, do you support continuation?
You're going to have to talk louder, sir.
Do you support continuation of tax credits for EVs? And secondly, what sort of political or policy advice does Elon Musk give?
What sort of political or policy advice has Elon Musk given you?
Elon is a very different kind of a guy. He's a very big believer in the country, but he's very worried about the country. He's very worried about the country. And I don't know if it's good for him politically to have supported me, although I think we have a vast majority of this country does support me. But Elon, more than almost anybody I know, I mean, he loves this country. He loves the concept of the country. But like me, he says this country is in big trouble. It's in tremendous danger. Okay, please.
Polls suggest overwhelmingly that Americans trust you more than Kamala Harris to fix the U.S. economy.
I like this guy. I like him.
What message do you have to Americans that are struggling to pay for every grocery, rent?
The polls have suggested. There are some polls that say we're going to win in a landslide. People are voting with their stomachs, meaning They go into the grocery store, they're paying 50, 60, 70% more for food than they did just a couple of years ago. Look at what's happened to energy. Look at what's happened not only to their cars, where gasoline's gone from $1.87, and we had moments when it was below that.
He's quoting tax prices through COVID, right?
But it's gone from $1.87 to $5, $6, and $7. And they take the strategic national reserves and they take it out, even though it's peanuts compared, it doesn't last long. But they're virtually empty now. We've never had it this low. And he's using that to keep the gasoline prices as low as possible. He's sucked all of the oil out, essentially the gasoline, to keep the price down a little bit, and it's had very little impact. But you know what? We have no strategic national reserves now. He's emptied it. It's almost empty. It's never been this low. And I had it at a good level, and I would have had it more if the Democrats would have approved the deal. You know, I had a deal to buy it at $22 a barrel, and now it's going to be close to 100 pretty soon, my opinion. And the Democrats didn't want to do that, but we bought a lot anyway. And we had it pretty good. And what they've done to the national reserves, the strategic national reserves, is, as you know very well, because you cover it, but what they've done is incredible. They've just, for the sake of getting some votes, for the sake of having gasoline, you know, that's meant for wars. It's meant for, like, tragedy. It's not meant.
He made money with it. So he tapped in the strategic reserve, sold off barrels at a high price, bought them off at a cheaper price, and made money with that. I'm not going to knock anybody that fucking sells them, makes money, and replaces it. What are you talking about?
To keep a gasoline price down so that somebody can vote for Biden, or in this case, Kamala, who, by the way, is worse than Biden, and she's actually not as smart. Okay, she's actually not as smart. That's hard to believe, isn't it? Yeah, please.
I have a political question, but I want to follow up one of the abortion questions.
Okay.
There are other things the federal government could do, not just a ban. Would you direct your FDA, for example, to revoke access to mifepristone?
Sure, you could do things that would supplement, absolutely, and those things are pretty open and humane. But you have to be able to have a vote, and all I want to do is give everybody a vote. And the votes are taking place right now as we speak. Yeah, but it's there are many things on a humane basis that you can do outside of that, but you also have to give a vote, and the people are going to have to decide. Okay, yes, please.
Kamala Harris is worse than President Biden?
On what?
I know you said that you think you're very...
No, I think she's actually not as smart as he is. I don't think he's very smart either, by the way. I'm not a big fan of his brain, but I think that she's actually not as smart as he is.
So what do you attribute her rising in the polls as becoming a more competitive race since she's taken over?
Well, she's a woman. She represents certain groups of people, but I will say this: when people find out about her, I think she'll be much less. And I see it right now. I see her going way down in the polls now. Now that people are finding out that she destroyed San Francisco, she destroyed the state of California along with Governor Gavin Newsom. Well, he's been a terrible governor, terrible. But they did it together. And she was early. I mean, she was the first of the prosecutors, really. You know, now you see Philadelphia, you see Los Angeles, you see New York, you see various people that are very bad. But she was the first of the bad prosecutors. She was early. Who?
Your White House was dating President.
Would you repeat that, please?
Your White House.
No, you. Would you repeat her, what she said? You have to speak up. This room is very louder.
You commit to your White House was dating President.
Do you hear her? A daily press briefing? Why would I do that? I would give you all the press briefings you want. Look what I'm doing here. But why would I do a daily press? You'd get tired of me very fast. No, but I will give you total access, and you'll have a lot of press briefings, and you'll have from me. Now, are you talking about from me or from a press secretary? Well, yeah, probably they'll do something. If it's not daily, it's going to be a lot. You'll have more than you want. Yeah, please.
President Biden has vowed not to pardon his son Hunter, who is now a convicted felon and facing more felony charges in his upcoming trial for alleged tax evasion. Would you consider granting clemency or pardon
I don't think it's appropriate for me to talk about it. I think it's a tragic story. You want to know the truth. And I felt that with Hillary Clinton, too. You know, with Hillary Clinton, I could have done things to her that would have made your head spin. I thought it was a very bad thing. Take the wife of a president of the United States and put her in jail. And then I see the way they treat me. That's the way it goes. But I was very protective of her. Nobody would understand that, but I was. I think my people understand it. They used to say, lock her up.
Here he's talking about lock her up. Hold on.
I don't think it's appropriate.
Who is now a convicted felon facing more felony charges in his upcoming trial for alleged tax evasion. Would you consider granting clemency or a pardon?
I don't think it's appropriate for me to talk about it. I think it's a tragic story. You want to know the truth. And I felt that with Hillary Clinton, too. You know, with Hillary Clinton, I could have done things to her that would have made your head spin. I thought it was a very bad thing. Take the wife of a president of the United States and put her in jail. And then I see the way they treat me. That's the way it goes. But I was very protective of her. Nobody would understand that, but I was. I think my people understand it. They used to say, lock her up, and I'd say, just relax, please. We won the election.
They didn't just say lock her up. You ran on that. You ran on that.
I think it would be I think it would have been horrible for our country and we had her between the hammering of all of the files. And don't forget, she got a subpoena from the United States Congress. And then after getting the subpoena, she destroyed everything that she was supposed to get. I thought it was so bad to take her and put her in jail, the wife of a president of the United States, and then when it's my turn, nobody thinks that way. I thought it was a very terrible thing. And she did a lot of very bad things. I'll tell you what, she was pretty evil. But in terms of the country...
A direct quote. For what she's done, they should lock her up, Trump said after the crowd chanted lock her up in October 2016. Lock her up is right, he said in an October 2016 rally in Pennsylvania, a rally in North Carolina. Trump explicitly called for Clinton's imprisonment using different phrasing. Hillary Clinton has to go to jail, okay? She has to go to jail, he said in a June 2016 speech in California. She has to go to jail, he repeated in an October 2016 speech in Florida. And at the presidential debate in 2016, after Clinton said, it's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country. Trump responded, because you'd be in jail. Trump then softened his rhetoric shortly after he defeated Clinton in the election, saying he didn't want to hurt her and didn't feel strongly about prosecuting her. In his 2020 campaign for re-election, though, he again made calls to lock her up. Quote, you should lock her up, I'll tell you, he said at January 2020 rally in Ohio, at an October 2020 rally in Georgia. After the crowd chanted lock them up in retaliation to the Biden family, Trump said, you should lock them up the Bidens, lock up Hillary. Why the fuck are you in my chat saying he never said he would lock her up? Did you just come here to lie? He has never stated he would lock up Clinton. He has again and again and again. Did you just come here to fucking lie? What the fuck? Again and again and again.
And with me and my kids, let me tell you, my kids, I'll tell you something, though, and it's very, lock them up. You shouldn't lock them up. Lock up the Bidens. Lock up Hillary.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Lock them up.
Lock up the Bidens. Like, did you miss something here?
Can you imagine if my kids did what this guy Hunter is doing? Ivanka. Oh, my beautiful, my one.
He never said he'd lock up the Clinton. The fuck out of here. Maybe you need a little more mainstream media in your life.
and in terms of unifying the country, bringing it back, to have taken her and to have put her in jail. And I think...
Well, it's one thing to say, like, I don't think he said that. Did he? It's another thing to say, as a matter of fact, he never said.
You know the things as well as I do. There were some pretty bad acts that she did. I think it would have been very bad for our country. And a lot of my people, a lot of the Maga, as they call them, but the base. And I think the base is 75% of the country, far beyond the Republican Party, because we're a party of common sense, and I'm a person of common sense. I want to have low taxes. I want to have strong borders. I want to have a strong military so that China and Russia, look, they've allowed China and Russia to do the impossible combined. They're natural enemies. They always have been, because China needs more land and Russia has it. They've always been natural enemies, and because
China and Russia are natural enemies.
Because of Obama.
Got it.
It started with him, and then Biden, because he didn't know what the hell he was doing, they've now become one force, and then now they're adding...
They're like a mongoose and a cobra.
Iran to it, and they're adding North Korea to it. Pretty powerful force. This is something that is unthinkable that they allowed to happen.
By the way, all the quotes I read, I've got all the audio clips for them. But I just picked the specific one. Here's another one.
Is your business drowned?
Oh, of course, it's got an ad on it.
This work ain't fit for a partner.
With smart buying tools from Amazon Business, you can focus on what you do best.
It's pirates ordering Amazon business crates.
For smart business.
Amazing.
This just came out. WikiLeaks. I love WikiLeaks. And I said, write a couple of them down. Let's see. During a speech, crooked Hillary Clinton. Oh, she's crooked, folks. She's crooked as a $3 bill. Okay, here's one. Just came out. Lock her up is right. No.
Anyways, they're all cataloged and put together. There's all the quotes that I read.
You're saying that you're not going to change your campaign strategy. You're going to keep going with the issues. But what if this so-called honeymoon period doesn't end?
Oh, it's going to end. The honeymoon period's going to end. Look, she's got a little period. She's got a convention coming up. It's about policy. It's not about her. I think she's incompetent. Because
the problem is we don't hear your drill, baby, drill is not a policy for everything wrong with the economy. It's not the way it works. We're drilling now more than any other country ever, more than we ever have, more than any other country in the world. When someone asks you and says they can't pay their rent and they're semi-retired, they were retired, had to come back to the workforce, and they're monthly having to give money to their kids because their kids can't afford to live. Drill, baby, drill is not an answer.
I've watched her. She destroyed California. She destroyed San Francisco. Everything she's touched has turned to bad things. I'm not going to use foul language, but everything she's touched has turned bad. She's incompetent. The reason she's not doing what I do, and she's not doing what she should be doing, she won't even do interviews with friendly people because she can't do better than Biden. Now, he had a reason for not doing well, and he was never, 25 years ago, the show.
I don't know that Trump is good at interviews. I feel like he may be doing better if he avoided some interviews, especially when he gets like all worked up over something and just calls into Fox News. Now, of course, Fox News is always going to take his call. It's ratings, right? They're always going to answer. But some of those calls have got to be turning off other voters.
Sharpest or brightest bulb in the ceiling, that I can tell you. Okay, he wasn't. But he could do interviews at least. Not lately, he couldn't, perhaps. But she should be doing interviews. She doesn't want to do interviews. And the reason she doesn't is, number one, her policies are so bad. Just to answer your question, I think that it's not going to change because it's really ultimately not about her as much as about her policies. She wants open borders. She wants to defund the police. She wants to defund the police. She wants to take away your guns. Anybody that thinks they're not going to come after your guns, you know, when I was president, I totally protected the guns, and I think it's very important. And I know I take some heat sometimes for it, but you have to have safety. You have to have.
Trump is one of the people that he entered some of the only gun legislation that made it through on a federal level with bump stocks.
When the bad guy walks in with a gun, you got to have some way of protecting yourself. And boy, that would be, you would see crime go up at levels that you've never seen. When people say on the side of the house, this house has guns, we will use the guns, they say, let's pass, we'll go someplace else. You have to have them. And for 4 years, and as you know, the NRA endorsed me very powerfully every time I ran, every time. My sons are members, and I guess indirectly I'm a member too. But they gave me the strongest of endorsements, and that's a strong competition. People that felt the same way. No, you have to have that right. Our Second Amendment is a very important right, and it has to be protected. Okay, how about you? Go ahead. Yeah.
People are predicting a depression. Can you talk more about what you would do?
So there are some of the most brilliant people on Wall Street that are saying that if President Trump doesn't win, you're going to have a depression. I happen to agree. I think that's.
Look, I'm kind of like a gun nut. And the problem that I always have with gun legislation is it always sounds good. Like we have this list of people who shouldn't be able to buy guns. That sounds awesome, right? If these people genuinely shouldn't have guns because they'll use them to fucking murder somebody or assassinate somebody or kill themselves. That sounds awesome. The problem's always with how do you get on the list? How do you get off the list? Can someone put me on the list? Because I'm the guy who's been on the no-fly list 3 times for no goddamn reason other than I went to Iraq with the army. I went to fight wars on multiple occasions with the army. It's not like I got friends over,
True. Because I know how bad these people are. They like to say that they did this and that. You saw the $7 trillion that they said it was me for $7 trillion. It wasn't me. It was them. They said that I had inflation. They took over 9% inflation. No, I had 1% inflation. I had actually no inflation because if you look at the categories, we had just about no.
If YouTube didn't have a ban, you can't have any firearms on, the NRA, I think, it's gotten too, it had a purpose. It probably still has a purpose, but the people in charge have just gotten used to being rich. But if I would show guns more often on the stream, probably. I like guns. I like talking about guns. But there's a full stop ban on showing anything on a live stream because something could happen, right? You could either be fucking streaming a murder or it could, you could have a negligent discharge, whatever.
Inflation, but I had a very minor, I actually had a positive inflation. It was a perfect number because you don't want zero. I mean, I'm not going to give you a whole course on economics, but you don't want zero. 1%, 1.4% is great. You want a little bit because you don't want to have deflation. Deflation is in many ways even worse. I had a perfect number right around the 1% number. It was perfect. And to show you, it stayed there for 2 years. And then he did all of the different borrowings that he did. And then he did so many things wrong. Every time he would do it, I'd say, big mistake. And don't forget, they sell hats and they sell stories. Trump was.
Listen, this is a reality with politicians. When they're on the debate stage with their own party members, they are going to say things and float ideas that will never, ever, ever see the light of day if they get to the general election. Right? Ever. If we're going to give Trump slack on saying, take the guns first, go to court later. Courts are too slow, just take them. I like the red flag. You have a flag you put at the beach, but this one's red. If we're going to give him slack on that, the Kamala Harris backing off the fucking mandatory buyback statement she made in a 2019 debate, you got to give her slack on that. I do think that she probably wants to impose an importation ban, which would mean foreign AR-15s imported in the United States. I don't think that she'll be able to stop. I don't even know if she'll try. I don't think she'll be able to stop the sale of AR-15s. I don't think she'll implement a gun buyback program. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think she said it because they were competing to be liberal like their party wanted them. And a lot of those ideas go in the fucking trash when we get to, okay, now we got to win half the fucking half the United States, right? Over.
About everything. I have been right about a lot. Yes, Maggie.
Yeah, and like, so I'm because I'm passionate about guns. I know this about gun channels. So you used to not be able to. So it used to be the Wild West, and you could show guns, you could do guns, you do cool things like the FPV Russia channel, all that shit, right? You could blow shit up, blah blah blah. You used to be able to do live streams of guns. You go to the range and shoot. I think I've even streamed me and Mariah at the range before back in the day. I know I put out pictures in a video. I may have even streamed it. But now they've got regulations, which I think they're probably based in something that's good. So they ban you cannot alter a firearm in any way, shape, or form. Like, so they don't want people taking them apart and showing them how to make you fully automatic, or really showing you how to make a runaway gun where you pull the trigger and you can't stop it until the magazine's empty. They don't want people shortening barrels, the stuff that's illegal. I think that's probably what it was based in, and that's probably a good idea. The problem is that it's got so overzealous with, you can't even, if you show an AR-15 in a video, not a live stream, a video you're recording, and you insert a magazine into it, they're now calling that modifying a gun, and that could get you a strike. Like, that's crazy. I don't know how gun channels are still doing it. I mean, I guess a lot of them have Patreons, a lot of them have merch, a lot of them have stuff, but like putting a magazine into a weapon is not, obviously not modifying the gun, but they're striking people over that. So when you see gun channels with an AR-15, the reason the magazine's already, if you watch new videos, the reason the magazine's already in it, they don't show you the rounds and put it in. They might show you separately, but when they show you firing, the magazine's already in it, it's already charged. It's because people are getting strikes for modifying firearms by inserting a high-capacity magazine. And this is just a standard 30-round magazine for an AR. I have no chance of hearing that question.
Commission, like other people do, and it's always complicated and it's always controversial. Well, we had a commission like other people do, and it's always complicated and it's always controversial. And we had commissions that, and I think of respected people, you know, many of the people on the commission, and they would recommend to me certain pardons for certain people. Some people were treated very harshly. A fantastic woman, as you know, she served 24 years for being on a phone call having to do with drugs. You know who I'm talking about. She was great. And she had another 24 years to go. And it was largely about marijuana, which in many cases is now legalized, okay? But we had many very highly regarded people on a commission, and they'd recommend, and they'd put a reason why. Some people were, you know, served time, but they served a lot of time for something that today people wouldn't even serve time by. Well, for the most part, I think they did. I mean, they did. They go through. They went through. I had a commission. It was a very important commission to me, and highly respected people. And frankly, they came up with some decisions that I wouldn't necessarily agree with, but I did it. But I let a lot of people out that had no representation. I went to people in jails, in prison that we respected. I said, how many of these people should be let out? We let out large groups of low-income people that were serving like 40 years for something that today you wouldn't even be put in jail for. We had very few people let out because I said I really don't want to let people out where they had a lot of violence, where they had killing, et cetera, et cetera. And for the most part, we didn't do that. Yeah, please.
You know how Trump, when the Heritage Foundation and Project 2025 got a lot of bad press after he went on that podcast and said it'll be a bloodless revolution if the liberals let it, and that got a bunch of bad press. And then Trump acted like he didn't even know the guy. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, but I don't like it. And then when the founder or whatever steps down, he's like, "Oh, I'm happy to see their demise," or whatever. It was clearly like he was just doing that because he got bad press. Well, now it came out that, and so he spoke at a couple of their events, but in 2022, now this is before they wrote Project 2025, which is relevant because in 2022 he was on a private flight with to speak at a Heritage Foundation conference with the founder, I guess, the Kevin Roberts guy. And the quote he left when people asked him what they talked about was, they're going to lay groundwork and detail plans for exactly what our movement will do. A 45-minute private flight with Kevin Roberts. This can all be verified through like plane tracking, tail number tracking, all that shit. People went back and verified it. There's a photo from on board the plane with them together. They flew together to the conference, and he says they're going to lay the groundwork and detail plans for exactly what our movement will do. Like, he was 100% for that shit until it got bad press.
You win in November. Do you want more to say or is that on issues like the interest rate? And do you think that
On defense?
Actually, Roberts, I'm almost positive this is true. It came out in, was it Washington Post? Roberts, who is the founder, told the Washington Post that I personally have talked to President Trump about Project 2025. He said that he had a briefing with the presidential candidates or whatever, and he's personally talked to Trump about Project 2025. But then when the bad press comes out, we're done. That doesn't exist. I don't know what that is. I'm glad their demise is coming. What the fuck ever. He said that he had, here's the quote, I personally have talked to President Trump about Project 2025 because my role in the project has been to make sure that all of the candidates who have responded to our offer for a briefing on Project 2025 get one from me. So he literally, Trump responded and said he agreed to a briefing. He came out and told him exactly what Project 2025 is, an in-person briefing. And then Trump acts like, what? I've never heard of her. What'd you say her name was?
The Federal Reserve. And do you think
Federal Reserve.
the economy
Right. Well, look, the Federal Reserve is a very interesting thing, and it's sort of gotten it wrong a lot. And he's tending to be a little bit late on things. He gets a little bit too early and a little bit too late. And, you know, that's very largely it's a gut feeling. I believe it's really a gut feeling. And I used to have it out with him. I had it out with him a couple of times very strongly. I fought him very hard. And, you know, we get along fine. We get along fine. But I feel the president should have at least say in there. Yeah, I feel that strongly. I think that in my case, I made a lot of money. I was very successful. And I think I have a better instinct than, in many cases, people that would be on the Federal Reserve or the chairman. Yeah.
People going to prison for marijuana.
So he has a better instinct than the Federal Reserve, so he'll fix the Federal Reserve somehow.
Yeah.
Harris supports rescheduling marijuana and also says that no one should go to prison for marijuana offense. Do you agree with those positions?
Well, as we legalize it, I start to agree a lot more because, you know, it's being legalized all over the country. Florida has something coming up. I'll be making a statement about that fairly soon. But as we legalize it throughout the country, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, it's awfully hard to have people all over the jails that are in jail right now for something that's legal. So I think, obviously, there's a lot of sentiment to doing that. Yeah, please.
You think Trump will announce federal legalization of marijuana to kind of pull in some votes?
Mr. President, Kamala Harris's father is Jamaican American, and she went to historically black college. How is she only recently decided?
Seems like he might be leaning that way.
Well, you'll have to ask her that question because she's the one that said it. I didn't say it. So you'll have to ask her, and I very much appreciate that question, but you'll have to ask her. But I've known her for a long time. I actually contributed to her campaign a long time ago because I was a developer. I contributed to lots of campaigns of Democrats, Republicans, and some were liberal and some were conservative. But you'll have to ask her about that. But to me, it doesn't matter. But to her, from her standpoint, I think it's very disrespectful to both, really. Whether it's Indian or black, I think it's very disrespectful to both. To me, it doesn't matter. Please, red dress.
What is an assassination? Is your ear fully recovered? Is there a scar? Do you have
Yeah, pretty much recovered, yeah. I'm a fast healer. It's a hell of a shot, but I'm a fast healer. Yeah, pretty much.
So he's healed. Here's the part I was talking about where every time he talks about the shooting, I believe it less. Here it is.
Yeah, pretty much recovered, yeah. I'm a fast healer. It's a hell of a shot, but I'm a fast healer. Yeah, pretty much.
He wasn't a hell of a. If he's a hell of a shot, you wouldn't be here to say that. I'm a fast healer.
Pretty much recovered.
Do you have any hearing damage from?
No, it didn't hit that. I got very lucky.
No, I didn't hit that part. I have no ear damage. Didn't hit that part.
It just hit the lobe, as they call it.
It just hit the lobe. You guys know the lobe. We've talked about the lobe. Just hit the lobe. What? That's the helix, right? The top part of your ear that kind of folds over, like you can like stick your finger to it and pull your whole ear up. The very top part of the outer ear is called the helix. The inside part of it, down the back, is called the antihelix. God, I wish I could remember this. The lobe. The fossa. The fossa is like this part towards the top, about 3/4 of the way up, and there's like a hole that you can stick your finger in. It's like a depression where like two pieces are together and they come apart like this. That's called the fossa. Damn, I wish I could remember the rest of this, or even remember why the fuck I would know any of this. Those are all, I made all those words up, by the way.
Is there a scar on your ear?
Yeah, a little bit, not much. On top.
Is there a scar? Yeah, a little bit, not much. Right on top, you know, the lobe. A
little bit.
An immigration question. You've been running on the idea of mass deportation to the biggest in American history of history.
Yeah.
When Senator Vance has been asked about that, he sort of suggested that really you only need to go after people who are convicted of crime.
Well, we're starting that, yeah.
So what are you really talking about here? How will you pay for it?
We are going to start the largest mass deportation in the history of our country.
Isn't that a deformity or something in the ear?
Because we have no choice. It's not sustainable.
It's on like the helix
and
where it swells up.
we're going to start with violent criminals, and we're going to start then with criminals. And our local police is going to work with us because they know everything about the people. They know their names. They know everything about them. They know their middle name. They know their numbers. And as you know, the other side is trying. You know, look, for years I wondered, why are they allowing these people to come in at levels like this? It was incredible. And I said 2 reasons. They're either really stupid, and I don't believe they're stupid.
The fossa means opening? I did not know that.
Because anybody that can cheat in elections like they cheat is not stupid. Or, in the alternative, they have bad motives or they hate our country.
You know the little, in the front, right in front of your ear, right in front of your ear hole, the auditory canal, right in front of that is like this little like hump that it kind of like sticks it out. It holds your headphones and shit in. It's right there and towards the front, towards your face from your ear canal, right in front of it. That is called the tragus. I'm gonna have to Google this. Hold on. The tragus is the tongue-like projection of the outer ear just in front of your auditory canal, the tragus. There you go, folks.
And I used to think they hate our country, but lately I've seen where they're trying to sign these people up to vote. And they have to stop. They cannot let illegal immigrants vote in this upcoming election. All right, one more question.
I think it's a piercing location, too.
Go ahead, one more. Make it a good one, please.
Okay, regarding Social Security taxes for seniors.
Right.
Experts say that the policy could increase the deficit by $1.6 trillion. So how would it work?
We have so many ways of making money in this country. We're not going to affect our Social Security.
So something he just said about securing the Social Security, they asked about, they said it would cost $1.6 trillion. And he's like, we can make money. Look, you ever seen a lemonade stand? You do the opposite of what they want. They want you to shut it down. We're going to keep it open. Lemonade for grannies, the National Mall. So many ways to make money.
The deficit by $1.6 trillion. So how would it work?
We have so many ways of making money in this country. We're not going to affect our Social Security. We're not changing it. And I proved that over 4 years. And we're going to do it. It's very unfair to people.
I think it's a very white thing. I think it's a very white thing to be like she has to, like if someone asks her if she eats spicy food and she says, oh, yeah, of course I'm Indian. And someone asks her, like, have you ever smoked pot? And she's like, of course I'm black. Like, I think it's a very white thing to look at that and be like, well, she said she was Indian. Well, she said she was black. People ask me all the time, like, do you really shop at Walmart? And I'm like, of course, I'm trailer trash. But, you know, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me.
They spend their life and they're great citizens and they pay in. We're not going to charge tax to Social Security, the seniors. We're not going to do it. We're not going to charge. And also tax. I say the two things. We're going to have no tax on seniors, Social Security, and we're going to have no tax on tips. Very simple. And we are a country that has so many different ways to make money. We have under our feet more liquid gold, I call it oil, and gas, than any country in the world, much more than Saudi.
Most people who get Social Security, well, I guess I don't know how much they're making. But I think it's like 25 to like 35,000 is tax free, and that's for single, and then above that, if you're married, maybe, I can't remember, is not taxable.
Saudi Arabia, much more than Russia. We have so many different ways we can make money. We're not going to hurt our seniors with Social Security, and we're not going to charge them tax. Okay?
So they're saying that could cause a huge deficit. How are you going to make that up? He's like, there's so many ways to make money, and we're doing it. But again, he doesn't say, where are you going to get that money from? So here's the problem. You can't promise, like, we're not going to do this. We're not going to raise taxes. We're not going to tax these people. We're going to give tax breaks for everybody. We're going to tax breaks for the wealthy, tax breaks for the poor. We're not going to touch Social Security. We're not going to do this. And then not expect to do like he did last time with a gigantic deficit. The money has to come from somewhere. It's just the same as if you have $100 and you got to buy 5 things. If you spend 30 on one thing, then the other 6 now have to come out of $70, right? Or you're going negative. Your bank account would be negative.
If sanctuary cities or municipalities are unable to cooperate, how do you plan to enforce that?
We should not have sanctuary cities. Sanctuary cities is a way of protecting criminals, and we should not have sanctuary cities. And if you go to California, and I know it well, I have property out there, great property. If you go to California and you ask the people of California,
it depends on what age you start.
Do they like the idea of sanctuary cities? They don't like it. They're tired of it. They're tired of crime. They're tired of what's happened to our country.
Every time I could get a chance, I know my dad could only make so much without having to file taxes, pay taxes, or whatever. Every time I got a chance to fucking hire my dad for something, I always try to help him out. Even if it was just like mostly like pencil whipping it, you know what I mean?
Our country's become a crime-ridden mess, and we're going to stop it on November 5th. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
There you go. We're going to stop it.
A crime, like the idea of sanctuary cities, they don't like it. They're tired of it. They're tired of crime. They're tired of what's happened to our country. Our country's become a crime-ridden mess, and we're going to stop it on November 5th. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Stop all the crime on November 5th. I wonder why. What is the goal of every time he talks about January 6th, saying that no one was killed on January 6th? What is the goal there? Just to make it seem like it wasn't as bad? Because he knows somebody was killed, right? Like, even if you don't count the officers that died, like one of them died later, the next day, two of them committed suicide. Even if you don't count those people, like he even talks about Ashley Babbitt being shot in the face. There's no way that he doesn't know that at least she died, right? Do you think that there's something, hold on, do you think there's something wrong with this statement? Prior to all this controversy, the AP article, after Biden dropped out, Harris, if elected, would be the first woman president, would be the first woman and first person of South Asian descent to be president. Do you think there's something wrong? Do you think that this statement that you just put in here excludes her from being black? Is that why you put it in the chat? Yeah, but she still sucks his dick, Steph Jones. She's like, oh, he doesn't have to say it, but we gotta vote him in if we want to get rid of all this lawlessness. Like, even though she wasn't happy. Like, you know, like everybody in the South where I'm from, they're always like, well, I've got Indian. I'm part Native American. So if I said that I'm of Native American descent, I can also be white. You know that, right? Like, I don't know why this is even a comment, I guess. Prior to all this controversy, AP article, after Biden dropped out, Harris, if elected, would be the first woman and first person of South Asian descent to be You know she could be 100% South Asian descent and be black? I guess I don't even understand why that was put in there. All right, I want to show you guys this crazy Facebook group. So the only question they asked is to get in this Facebook group. So they shut down my old fucking crazy people Facebook group, and they started a new one. So these are like, I can't remember. I think it was called the same name. We Trust and Believe in the Plan Facebook group. It's only 300 members, so it's really personal. I feel like my good friends are there. So I wonder if... did Janet say she wanted brunch or not? Then says on video, the conversation. No, that's not it. He will reap what he sows. Hold on. Me and at Janet C669. There she is. Will be reaping up the breakfast buffet in a few hours at the Shoney's breakfast bar if you want to join us tomorrow for a late and heavy brunch. Afterwards, we will convene our third annual hashtag fuck your God club meeting. Hope to see you there. Hugs and kisses. There we go. Janet, I'm looping you back in. So someone says he will reap what he sows. He needs prayer more than anything. I said, me and Janet will be reaping up the breakfast buffet in a few hours at Shoney's breakfast bar. If you want to join us tomorrow for a late and heavy brunch. Afterwards, we will convene our third annual hashtag fuck your God club meeting. Hope to see you there. Hugs and kisses. Oh, here we go. Janet records the minutes for the club meeting. She has to be there. In parentheses. Janet, me and you are going to be best friends. Anyways, we trust and believe in the plan Facebook group. This old lady has no idea what she's fucking with. They shut down the old group and said that they had been reported twice, and if they got reported 3 times, it'd be shut down permanently. So they're like, this is our new group. You got to come over here if you want to. You have to request to join. And then it said no more posts would be made on the old group, and only, this is why I joined, only the people in the new group will be invited to the cookout / meet and greet after all is revealed. After all the Q plan is revealed. So I thought, I'm getting in that motherfucker. I want to be invited to the cookout, right? So I hopped in, and there was a question to join, one question. And the question was, who is and always will be our president. Our current president. Let me see if I can find the pictures where I answered this. Who is, always will be, our current president. It may not have been phrased like that. Let me go see. It worked. I'm in. At everyone, I made a new group because this one has been in danger of being shut down. If you have not joined, here's the link to do so. Only members of the new group will be involved in the gathering at the end of this once-in-a-lifetime journey that we are on. Posts will no longer be shared in here. I gotta give me some of that. You talking about barbecues? Your membership is pending approval. Answer these questions from the group admins to help review your request to join. Only admins and moderators will see your answers. Do not enter your password or other sensitive information here, even if you're asked to by the We Trust and Believe in the Plan admins. Who is the President of the United States? Now, I've been training for this basically the last 4 fucking years, right? So I put, you mean the current CIC? The Commander-in-Chief? Is that what you mean when you ask me these ridiculous questions? Trump. 3.5 minutes later, welcome to the We Trust and Believe in the Plan group. Admins have approved your join requests. Here we go, baby. We're in. A behind-the-scenes look. This is not a joke. This is all part of I have been trying to tell you that Trump is not who we all thought he was. Don't laugh at this because you don't want to believe it. In the Church of Satan, founded by Anton LaVey, the 5th and highest degree, Maga. Let that sink in while you're spellbound. Maga is built on the foundation of the Antichrist spirit. And then people are laughing and talking shit to him. Hello, everyone. Do you recognize me? I spent most of my life in hiding. I did it to protect my family, my friends, and the people and the world. In the upcoming days, I will reveal something that will change a lot of things and make this world a better place for everybody. Oh, my goodness. Who wanted me dead? Who tried to assassinate me? Who died in the accident? Who helped me get away? Who gave me shelter? Who saved my life? All of this is bigger than you think. Over the years, I've had enough time to gather information on everything and everyone. Join my channel and share it with the people you know and care about. Everyone needs to see and hear this. Look out. I wish I could remember the source, the female, that said he was one of the nicest pedophiles. I don't know, but then again, heard to keep in mind that there are 2 of everyone. There are 2 of everyone. Everyone in the world, there's 2 of them. This was shared a couple years ago. Could this be what Michael Jackson looks like now? Yes. That's him. Debbie Bryan says, sure looks like him. That's true. Looks just like him. More than 42 U.S. presidents have carried European royal bloodlines into office. 34 have been genetic descendants from just one person, Charlemagne, the brutal 8th century king of the Franks. 19 of them directly descend from King Edward III of England. In fact, the presidential candidate with the most royal genes has won every single American election. So there you go. Bet you didn't know that, did you? What about this? In an interview with Aaron Carter, he told us to look up B. Howard Michael Jackson. This is a photo I came up with. B. Howard was born on April 2nd, 1981. Billie Jean was released as a single on January 2nd, 1983. So Billie Jean was real, and this is the real Michael Jackson's son. What do you think about that? It's a real photo. Oh, wait. Here's a good one. Panda eyes occur when a child is sodomized and trauma bursts their capillaries around their eye socket. Which bulge when they're sodomized, which creates the ringed bruising. Now listen, I have tried to give Mariah panda eyes. I've been in there deep, boys. Broomsticks. It doesn't work. First-hand experience, it doesn't work. Shows a picture of Ron DeSantis that says 18 U.S. Code 2381 treason, 2382 misprison of treason, 2383 rebellion or insurrection, 2384 seditious conspiracy, 2385 advocating overthrow of the government, crimes against humanity, supporting genocide. Ooh. Ooh.
Today we're going to figure out just...
This was shared in there. Let's see what it is.
We know that Google is tracking us. We agree to it when we set up our phones. So we wanted to figure out what exactly Google is learning about us throughout the day.
Have you guys seen the movement to de-Google your phones? There's a guy who talks about Google and their push and to get more information. This is not a conspiracy. They do track everything. They use it for marketing and shit. Could easily turn it over to the government, whatever. That's what the NSA stuff was about, sharing without the proper search warrants and shit. But there's a guy who is a huge advocate on this, and he de-Googles phones. Like, you still have an Android phone, just without all the Google shit turned on. It's a process, or you can buy one already done, but still, there's a movement for this.
So here's what we're going to do. We have two identical phones. The only difference between these two phones is this one is in airplane mode. Both of the phones lack a SIM card, and they haven't been set up to access any Wi-Fi networks. So for all intents and purposes, these phones have no connection to a data network. We're going to keep them with us throughout the day. And while I travel around D.C., we're going to figure out just what Google is finding out about me.
Our first stop, Sim's Convenience Store, just outside our Fox Bureau, for a quick coffee. From there, we took a walk to the Capitol and took a quick walk around the Senate office buildings, and then decided to hop in a car and head around town.
Hello. We're going to the Children's Hospital, please?
To run our test, we had to do more than walk the block, so we took a tour around our nation's capital. First, due north to the Children's National Medical Center Hospital, then west to St. Albans School and the National Cathedral. Our tour around town was a 14-mile journey that lasted more than an hour. The entire time, the phones had no access to the internet.
Oh my goodness.
Not a Wi-Fi connection and not any cellular data service. It almost seemed quaint to assume that Google wouldn't even be able to collect data on me.
Let's head back to the Bureau, my friend. Ugh, that church is beautiful.
Google's business model is simple. Collect data on its users and then use that data to sell targeted.
By the way, I know you can't see it from the chat, but up here in the corner of the video on the right, somebody put, it says hats, and then it's a white, like fedora. So it's like they watermarked it with white hats. Like the white hats, once you see this.
It adds. It's a business model called surveillance capitalism. But does that critical data collection work even when your phones aren't connected?
So we're back here at our Fox Bureau in D.C., and we've got both of our phones exactly how we left with them. The only difference, really, I snapped a couple of bad selfies at the National Cathedral. But otherwise, they have stayed in my pocket for the entire day. So let's find out what they know. This is our man-in-the-middle device. It's basically a Wi-Fi network that these phones are going to connect to once we turn their Wi-Fi on. It's going to pass data through it on the way to Google. But on the way, we're actually going to get a copy of the same data that Google's going to get. We'll be able to decrypt it and then find out where we've been throughout the day.
Within minutes, the numbers rolled in. The phone that wasn't on airplane mode registered more than 100 locations, 130 activities, and even 152 barometric readings. As soon as it hooked up to our Wi-Fi, it transmitted 300 kilobytes of data straight to Google. The phone even logged our exact locations, tracking us all around town, the Capitol, the hospital, the school, and the cathedral.
Now you may notice what's missing here is the exact route that we took, but it got that data too. It knows when I got out of the car.
The metadata has a time log down to the very second, tracking everything when they think that you're walking, riding, and yes, even getting out of the car.
Okay, so you're thinking, this isn't a big deal. I'll just put my phone in airplane mode. Yeah, we thought of that too. This is the other phone that we had with us that no SIM card also remained in airplane mode the entire time. Let's see what kind of data it captured.
The phone with airplane mode activated actually logged more locations and activities than the other phone, and it also transferred hundreds of kilobytes of data to Google as soon as it was activated.
The only thing that's missing from this map is our stop at the Children's Hospital, but it still knows we were there. There it is. Exiting vehicle, 100% accuracy.
Through complicated user agreements and free software, Google gets users to sign away their privacy for nothing. They're even following you in the places that most people would expect total privacy. Government.
I think the way to fix this, to be equitable about all the stuff they're stealing and getting and doing or whatever, is to, yeah, you had to sign up for this, but there should be a way to opt out of a lot of it. And then they ought to pay you for your data. If they're marketing your data and making all this, they ought to pay you. Even if it's pennies on the dollar, they ought to pay you if you're signed up for it. It is pedophile slang for child sodomy. When a child is forcibly sodomized, its eyes can welt to black circles due to the blunt trauma involved, making their eyes look like that of pandas. There's apparel selling online that says panda eyes on it for the pedo community, as well as many pedophiles joking about this online with each other, talking about kids. There's many innocent symbols and codes they use to reference their deviant perversions, like pizza, little girl lover, and hot dogs, little boy lover. Pandas are one of their symbols. Believe it or not, hashtag #CumPanda is often seen on the Vito's social media accounts when referencing pandas and children. I gave my boys panda eyes, hashtag #CumPanda. You guys know who that is, right? That's Kim Kuckich page. They're sharing all these posts from the boss. They're sharing a post from the boss. XOX, a lie will come out. I am just a messenger. Use discernment. What we found under the Vatican 4 years ago. Jesus was a human being made divine by God as mirroring is real. God uses everything they changed in the Bible for good. It will also come out that Jesus and the resurrection never happened. We do not know how Jesus died. This needs to be drip, 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 as this will be an earthquake on earth. The ETs know the real story of humanity. We could not break this to the planet Earth until we had the proof. The proof is all hidden knowledge that was under the Vatican. It matches exactly with what the good ETs are telling us for years. It will also come out that the Vatican was evil ETs. They looked like humans as they took the form of humans. They could shapeshift. 2018, 50,000 troops were sent to the Vatican. The troops executed everyone in the Vatican as they were all evil ETs. Prior to that, the good ETs were fighting the war in the heavens, executing all evil ETs in the heavens. The good ETs, Galactic Federation and Planet Earth humans, are working on behalf of humans, God in heaven, to bring God's kingdom, 1,000 years of peace to Earth. Earthlings need to understand this. Do not lose faith, as God is in control. Well, thanks, sir. Thanks for letting us know that. How crazy do you think these people are? Bruce Jenner's cat. Alberta Abby Einstein. Einstein, the cross-dressing patent clerk, Zionist, media fraud, and plagiarist, paid off his first wife with $100,000 Nobel Prize money, married his cousin and her 2 daughters, which he was attracted to. Einstein called his new family his small harem, and more. Einstein equals no hero, no genius, total fraud. Now they're going after science, which is wild. Jennifer Aniston has decided to reveal she has been a satanic witch performing rituals for decades. Remember, Anthony Bourdain had even said during the commercial breaks for Friends, the entire cast would chant, "Hail Satan." Wait a second. During the commercial breaks, Friends wasn't recorded. Friends wasn't live. It was pre-recorded and edited. Why would there be commercial breaks? Right? Am I an idiot here? Like, it's a sitcom. They record it, and yeah, there might be like stopping points where a commercial would be, but they don't take commercial breaks because there's no commercial to play. Am I dumb here? The cabal's transgender agenda, Baphomet cults. Got it. Huge food storage saved. The White Hat Alliance has taken security measures. Look at this. Deep underground military bases. The White Hats are saving food for us. Yeah, but even with a live audience, you don't take commercial breaks. You think the live audience would hear him saying, "Hail Satan," though? How can this possibly be? Red lines on their heads. Ears. Same nose. Birthmark. Note. Our skin continues to grow as we age. Yes, everyone's nose droops in time. General Flynn's Tesla. Anybody tell Kim Kuckich? Kim Kuckich. Oprah. Her choice of great role models. Perverted, misogynist rapists and men who drug before they rape. Nice. They hate Oprah. Oprah's something special. Q phones are already developed and manufactured in Germany, the United Kingdom. Germany, the United Kingdom, with the final software upgrade in the United States. The smartphone is three-dimensional and of the highest quality. It will become one of the main tools for direct credit and expenditures in daily life for consumer, retail, and business commerce, domestically and internationally. This is a $500 billion manufacturing operation in 3 countries. Costs may increase as 7 billion Q phones will be dispersed to all people on Earth. The QFS will create its own internet that will work off its trinary code and perhaps a G8 network for SATCOM. Any questions about this? Got any questions about this, motherfuckers? I think it had a laugh track. I don't ever think they said recorded in front of a live studio audience, which they would brag about if they did. I think Friends had a laugh track, but I could be wrong about that. But still, I don't know why they'd be commercial breaks. Nick Swick, nothing, justice. Look at all the people doing it. White hat's in control. Elon Musk was dark and been taken over. This is not Musk. This is a double actor or some CGI. He is doing the anti-Illuminati hand sign to tell them they lost control of media narrative. Illuminati sign is upside down triangle, as above, so below, dark to light. So this here is the opposite. White hats are mocking them. They all just saw it and are freaking out right now. That's the anti-Illuminati hand sign. By the way, don't ever, unless you're just making a joke, don't ever try to tell me that somebody fucking made the devil hand signal. You think I believe in that shit? I do it all. Look, here we go. I do it all the fucking time. You think I think that means something? Like 30 people tagged me in a post about Michelle Moore doing this. I don't give a fuck. Unless we're just making fun, like they say everybody else does it and look, they did it. That's funny, right? But you think I put any validation in somebody making the devil hand signal? Disney has been tracking children. You enter the park with your kids, you find an AirTag tracking message on your phone. When you leave the park, ask yourselves why. Walt Disney was sent here after WW2 to start Hollywood, NASA, and Disney World. Save the children, hashtag save the children. I think Disney tracking kids would be fucking amazing. You know how many kids get, as long as they're deleting the data and handling it responsibly, like someone isn't able to hack in and take a bunch of photos of your kid. I think if they can take an image of the group you entered with and use facial recognition for that kid and make sure they're leaving with the same people, or a guard just comes up and says, "Hey, did you enjoy your stay? How you doing? We saw you were leaving, but this isn't the person that she entered the park with. Can you explain that?" I think that would be amazing. Fucking amazing. Let's do that. Okay. Marilyn Manson. Manson. AOC. Ebba. Uma. Kamala. Q left a piece out of the puzzle. Jacinda. Megan. Amal. They are all men. Makes sense. Makes sense. If you don't get mad at the hospital when you have a baby and they put a wristband on it and a matching wristband on the parents and you're the only people that are allowed to leave the hospital with them, then don't get mad at Disney for doing the exact same fucking thing. I think we should do that. There are lots of them out there. They all share a common father. By the way, they're saying that about Q Rash on Twitter and Michelle Moore, that they were born men. They did that. That shit's fucked up. I'm glad that these people that have spread that shit are getting a taste of their own medicine. I think that's funny because they even did that too. They took, listen to this shit. If I wasn't like, I am the internet, right? I am the fucking internet. If that wasn't that case, I probably would have got really fucking mad about this and maybe showed up at some motherfucker's house. But they took a picture of my mom from her obituary posting to try to say that me and Mariah were deep state cabal assets, everything's backwards, and my mom was born a man. From her fucking obituary, dude. Of a 60-something-year-old woman. And my mom was beautiful. What's this one? A lot of stuff we can't read. There you go. Q said it. Like father, like son. Guardian Yeshua, Jesus Christ, a Syrian what? Let me make it bigger again. A Syrian blue human from the future came to change timeline and bring LOO ascension technology back to the planet. Prepare for the ascension cycle in 2012 with genetic equal wife and large Syrian ground crew. Underground portal is used for Egypt. Melchizedek initiations. Armana is used to hide LLO technology in Ireland and UK. Could not recover Blu-ray staff and Mother Principal Force for Earth core destroyed in Stonehenge DNA scramble. Was not crucified, ascended out, partially successful in mission. Many other Christos family have been on the earth since then. There you go. May God have mercy upon my enemies because I won't. General George S. Patton. Also, Donald Trump. Did you know, in September 1957, James Vickery, an American advertising executive, conducted a subliminal advertising test on 45,700 patrons at a movie theater. For a period of 6 weeks, the Coca-Cola logo and Eat Popcorn were flashed on the movie screen for 1/3000th of a second every 5 seconds during the airing of motion pictures. It was reported that Coca-Cola sales rose 57.7% and popcorn sales increased almost 20%. If you don't believe big TV corporations are still doing this today to engineer human behavior, think again. Vicari, is that his name? Let's see. In 1970, a marketing researcher claimed to have exposed thousands of unsuspecting moviegoers. Damn it! Just close. I just want to read the fucking article. I don't want to pre-order anything. Moviegoers in a New Jersey theater to a series of phrases like "hungry?" Eat popcorn and drink Coca-Cola that flashed across the screen in the fraction of a second as they watched the film. These images allegedly increased the sale of popcorn by 57.7%. and Coca-Cola by 18.1%, despite passing far too quickly for viewers consciously to notice them. Vicari's findings soon became publicized and induced a widespread, decades-long dystopian fear that secret messages lurk beneath the surfaces of our favorite songs, movies, and TV shows, insidiously coercing us to do things without conscious consent, primarily to buy things we probably didn't actually want. In an age where we are now inundated with ads, this kind of manipulation understandably feels quite plausible, especially when you take into consideration those highly sus product promotions that always seem to appear right after having an adjacent conversation about said product. I cannot tell you the amount of times I have suddenly seen ads for washing machines after telling a friend it was laundry day. However, while there is a deeper meaning hidden behind Vicari's experiments, it might not be nearly as doomsday-centric as people might think. 1962, he revealed his findings that were falsified In 1962, Vicari revealed that his findings were falsified as a gimmick, having next to no supporting evidence. Subsequent researchers would find that, at best, subliminal messaging was effective with already well-known and at least somewhat popular products, and in the very strict laboratory conditions, if anything, the discovery of hidden messages were more closely linked to confirmation bias than an uncovered agenda. But still, the damage had been done, and panic over mental autonomy ensued. This fear remains so prevalent today that a study published in 2021 revealed that people shared a remarkable agreement that their minds are being actively manipulated by supermarkets, car dealerships, political campaigns, scientists and researchers, therapists, and social media, all outside of their conscious awareness and control. So the reason you couldn't do like Coke or popcorn is something you already associate. If you're just reminding somebody of something, right? But he said he made it all up anyways. Riders on the Storm. Look out. Jim Morrison as Rush Limbaugh. I forgot they thought, right? Jim Morrison was Rush Limbaugh. Stop listening to celebrities. They are literal Satanists. The pandemic was brought in for the vaccine. The vaccine was brought in for the vaccine passport. The vaccine passport was brought in for the biometric ID. The biometric ID was brought in for the central bank digital currency. The central bank digital currency was brought in to enslave you. One day it will dawn on you that the people you dismissed as conspiracy theorists and anti-vaxxers were just friends and family members who cared about you enough to tell you, why didn't none of this happen then? Where's the vaccine passport? Where's the biometric ID? Some of this stuff sounds cool. For Catholics, this may burst your bubble. Photo of Mother Teresa with Robert Maxwell, Israeli Mossad agent. They were into child sex trafficking together. Maxwell is father of Ghislaine Maxwell. Damn it. Got us again. Ozzy Osbourne and John Lennon in the recording studio March 15th, 1979. No fucking way people think this is real, right? No comments. Why would they share this? No way they think that's real. It's Harry Potter, motherfuckers. It looks, the way they're laughing, it looks like it's behind the scenes shot, but still. Obama's mother is a product of a fling between Hitler and the housekeeper in Argentina. This means Obama is Hitler's grandson. Angela Merkel, Chancellor of Germany, is Hitler's daughter and the Obama's aunts. Makes sense. Stanley Ann Dunham, Satoro, January 1972, passport application photo. You see how that works?
Created in 1982. Like the city-state of London and the Vatican, a third city-state was officially created in 1982. That city-state is called the District of Columbia and is located on 10 square miles of land in the heart of Washington. The District of Columbia flies its own flag and has its own independent constitution. Although geographically separate, the city-states of London, the Vatican,
wait a second,
and the District of Columbia.
You know that the state you live in, has its own flag and its own constitution too, right? It's not just D.C. Everybody knows that?
Separate. The city-states of London, the Vatican, and the District of Columbia are one interlocking empire called Empire of the City. The flag of Washington's District of Columbia has 3 red stars, one for each city-state in the 3-city empire. This corporate empire of 3 city-states controls the world economically through London's inner city, militarily through the District of Columbia, and spiritually through the Vatican. The Constitution for the District of Columbia operates under a tyrannical Roman law known as Lex Fori, which bears no resemblance to the U.S. Constitution. When Congress passed the Act of 1871, it created a separate corporate government for the District of Columbia. This treasonous act allowed the District of Columbia to operate as a corporation outside the original Constitution of the United States and outside of the best interests of American citizens.
That makes sense.
Sobering study of the signed treaties and charters between Britain and the United States exposes a shocking truth. The United States has always been and still is a British Crown colony. King James I was famous not for just changing the Bible into the...
Jesus Christ, these people are lunatics. Is it Lee Harvey Oswald or is it Joe Biden? Oh, shit. Joe Biden is Lee Harvey Oswald because he's a white male with no facial hair? Oh, shit. That explains why he got to be president. Y'all know the Pope Benedict was at the top of the Vatican, not Francis. Francis was just a puppet on a string to head boss Benedict. Benedict was the highest of evil, the spawn of Satan, the most evil of any of them. That evil satanic lizard being announced dead on New Year's Eve is a signal to us that the satanic religious arm has completely been dismantled. Plus, the cabal slavery financial arm was collapsed with the Lizard Queen and Evelyn Rothschild being removed from the board. D.C. is already military occupied, but soon we will physically see China Biden removed along with all other D.C. swamp rats. The White Hats are taking all top cabal and deep state players out for the world to see while completely destroying their Babylon. It certainly is biblical. 2023 is going to be lit, fam. Lit. God has a plan. Reminder, monopoly ends when no one can afford to live on the board anymore. At that point, everything becomes worthless. The money means nothing. The hotel sits abandoned. The only thing left is to restart the game and do it again. It's unsustainable. It's what we're doing. So we're living a game of Monopoly, and I'm about to flip the fucking table, bruh. Bruh. Why isn't Monopoly accurate to our lives? Any guesses? Janet said, Satan's hand is upon me. So I said, Mariah's hand is upon these nuts, Janet. You want to watch? We're still waiting on a reply. Put a little icing on our strudel, if you know what I mean. We're going to breakfast anyways.
He's got things done that he's...
So this is a post says, this is so sad, bordering on elder abuse, watching him stumble through his sentences. It's very clear he's suffering from some sort of dementia or other disease of the mind. Compare him to how he used to be today. Wow. This is Destiny making fun of all the Biden posts, but Trump using Trump.
She picked a radical left man that is...
man?
He's got things...
You remember his cognitive test where he's like, they show you three pictures, like man, elephant, umbrella. And then they do the thing, and then they ask you later, and I said, man, elephant, umbrella. Just like that. He said he'd never seen somebody score so high on a cognitive test.
It's done that he has positions that are just not, it's not even possible to believe that they exist. He's going for things that nobody's ever even heard of. Heavy into the transgender world, heavy into lots of different worlds, having to do...
Transgender world kind of sounds like an amusement park.
With safety, he doesn't want to have borders, he doesn't want to have walls, he doesn't want to have any form of safety for our country. He doesn't mind people coming in from prisons, and neither does she.
So in Monopoly, everybody ends up not being able to afford to live. What would happen if a mass amount of people, like a huge group of people, were literally at their wits' end, like kids starving, no place to live, no money to do anything? You would have an uprising. Even if you believe that the government is just pulling all the strings and they're keeping us complacent and controlled and shit, they want to keep us happy. This is the dumbest argument for like fucking, what do they call them? Concentration camps and shit. You know what would happen if we found out the first people were put into concentration camps? Everything, all at once. That's why life is not like a game of Monopoly. Sir John Lennon is Steve Jobs. And better, Yoko Ono was fiction. He was always married to the same woman. Duh. One day you'll wake up and all of a sudden the weight of the last few weeks, months, or even years will be lifted off your shoulders. You can't control when that day comes. All you can do is stay strong, trust God, and have faith it's coming. What the fuck? The fuck they doing here? Anyways, I got in the group. They let me hang out. We'll definitely be fucking around in this group some more. But here we are for now. I guess that's it. That's all I wanted to show you. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Consider supporting the show. Make a contribution to the show at coldbeer.fun. We greatly appreciate it. Shut up, Mariah. Shut up. Mariah's texting me now. Thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate it. We'll see you around the next one. Have a good night. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Love you. See you. Bye. Consider supporting the show. That's how we pay the bills, by the way. I probably already said that, didn't I? I will not be getting anything home. What, you want the dick?
About if this douchebag.
Mariah, I told Mariah I was going to block her from messaging me. And then she texts me back, I will kick down your door. And I text her back, I will dick down your back door.
Exactly who they are and tell them the rest of the world.
So I think that got her all hot and bothered. Now she wants me home.
Balls.
Okay, Scott. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believer? Y'all need Jesus. Praise the Lord, and to the extreme. All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip. Worshipping drums, cocking, begging for a throat deposit. Swinging fucking meat hammers like Thor in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, eating his chest like he's King Kong. Starving for attention, I'ma make your gut burst. I'll be your huckleberry, I can quench that thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking.
She wants this man milk. Fuck that chocolate milk.
5G towers.
It's all white and creamy tonight, Miss Prish. You know what I'm saying?
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. I used to find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Open his closet, I found some of his meat rockets. I strapped it to my shoes and then I flew through the roof. I found myself in orbit strapped to an F-16. High on amphetamine, with Trump in between. Put on a light coat of baby oil and saluted the troops. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This is gonna be it." Whoa, wait. Stop. What? I'll get my files. What are you doing? Stop. Hold on. Fucking stop. Dude, come on. Seriously. My mom's an alcoholic. Oh, give me a... Oh, my God. Damn it. Here we go. I think I started some shit. Piss them off. It's about to get lit. Get the place in the best. You know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go. I think I started some shit. Piss them off. It's about to get lit. Get the place in the best. You know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Round 3. Down goes Nino. Please say it isn't so. Got him backed up on the ropes, trying to ram it down his throat. Now things are getting rocking. He was doing so well. It's all over. Hands on his shoulders, they ringing his bell. You got Frog News Network, dude.
No damn research, they rework and copy on cocks that came first. 9th inning, second string, and they acting like they know hitters. Assholes throwing bullshit, shit and runs to the shitter. All this nonsense on my conscience, it's hard to sleep at night. Who the fuck is in my window with this?
I got a Slim Jim for you.
With all their secret meetings.
I already told my new friend Jeanette that you were touching my balls, so when I get home, you're touching my balls. Okay?
I hear busting the griffs. Here we go, I think I started some shit.
You either touch them willingly or I'll put them on your forehead in your sleep.
You know that stage is set. You better.
I've done it before.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up.